Chapter 773. Be it her eyebrows, eyes, nose or mouth, the Mu Wanru before him was nothing like the Qingqing in his memory. "Grandpa, what are you looking at?" Mu Wanru could not help touching her face, thinking that there was something strange on it. He answered truthfully, "I'm just looking to see if there are any similarities between you and your mother." Mu Wanru was startled. Her heart skipped a beat, but she quickly forced a smile. "Don't we look alike? How can that be? When I was young, everyone said that I look like my mother." "You don't." He slowly closed his eyes. Mu Qingqing's face and voice appeared clearly in his mind. Whether it was her features or her voice, even after 20 years, he still had a deep impression of her. Mu Qingqing was the most indelible joy in his memory, but also the most indelible pain. Her death was a huge blow to him. He was unable to recover from the setback and was bedridden for a long time, unable to recover from the pain of losing his beloved daughter. The smile on Mu Wanru's face stiffened. "Grandpa, do you still remember how my mother looks like?" "Of course I remember. I can't forget her face and voice." Mu Sheng sighed. Outside, a servant gently knocked on the door. "Master, the medicine is ready." Mu Wanru raised her voice at once. "Come in." As soon as she said that, the servant entered the study with a medicinal soup. He turned his face away and said, "Take the medicine away, it smells awful." The servant smiled stiffly and respectfully said, "Master, this medicine can't be stopped. Drink it. I told you to take it away. Didn't you hear me?" He suddenly slammed the table in a fit of rage. His voice shook the entire study room. The servant was so frightened that her legs almost gave way and she knelt down. Mu Wanru said, "All right, you can leave." "Young madam, that medicine." "All right, I'll persuade Grandpa to drink it." "You can leave first lest he gets angry." Mu Wanru waved her hand. The servant respectfully retreated and closed the door. Mu Sheng turned his head to look out of the window, but his eyes gradually became empty. "Wanru, take the medicine away." "I'm not drinking it." "Grandpa, you're throwing a tantrum again. Although this medicine smells bitter, it is good medicine that tastes bitter and cures illness. Drinking it will be good for your body." Mu Wanru walked to his side and gently placed her hand on the back of his hand, patiently consoling him. The old man stubbornly retorted, "What's in it for me?" How many years had he been drinking this medicine, yet his body was still like this. It couldn't be cured. Let it be. Mu Wanru laughed helplessly and said a few words of coaxing. "How can you say that? Grandpa, this medicine is good for your body after all. Let me feed you, okay?" Mu Sheng looked out of the window. He did not say anything, but he did not reject her, either. Mu Wanru then stood up and walked behind him. While he was looking out of the window, she secretly took out a small packet of craft paper from her pocket. She carefully tore a small hole in the craft paper and gently sprinkled the white powder into the medicine bowl. She stirred it evenly with a spoon. It was colorless and tasteless. Mu Lianjue's words echoed in her ears. "Don't be fooled by that old man's deteriorating body. I'm afraid he doesn't have many years left to live. Still, whether this old thing is dead or alive, he still holds the power in his hands. With him around, the Mu family's morale is unstable. Only by getting rid of him can I carry out my grand plan." Chapter 774. The old man's gaze remained fixed outside the window as if he were in a trance. His weathered face resembled a withered and decaying branch. His eyes were like dead ashes, devoid of any vigor. He was probably really old. It was as if he would die the next moment. Mu Wanru guessed that, given his situation, he would only have a few more years to live before the candle of life was extinguished. There were still good medicines to cure a person's illness. Alas, there was no cure for his illness. Mu Wanru pursed her lips tightly. With trembling hands, she picked up the medicine bowl and took a deep breath before walking to the old man. Sodium nitrite, a slow-acting poison. Mu Lianjue had ordered her to add 0.1 grams of it to the old man's medicine bowl every day. It would not be fatal immediately, but long-term consumption would lead to death within a month. As long as the old man was alive, Mu Lianjue would not be able to execute his plan with power in his hands. Hence, her priority was to poison the old man to death. This old man, who treated her as his own and loved her dearly, whom she had always called Grandpa. There was still a shred of conscience in her heart that was struggling. Mu Wanru had the urge to smash the medicine bowl on the floor several times. It was not that she did not have feelings for the old man. If he had not brought her back to the Mu family and doted on her like a princess, she would not even know how miserable she would have been in this life. She was the one who had lied to him about everything. She was clearly not Mu Qingqing's daughter, yet she had shamelessly possessed everything. Be it food or clothing, she had not skimped on anything Mu Yaxia had. In fact, she had received more love from him than Mu Yaxia. Without a doubt, the old man was the only person in the world who trusted and loved her unconditionally. 15 years of feelings could not win against benefits, after all. Mu Wanru's hands could not help but tremble. She kept weighing the pros and cons in her heart, but she could not make up her mind. A human's heart was made of flesh. She was not a cold person, after all. Every time she thought of how much the old man doted on her and how she had poisoned her closest kin, the bowl of medicine in his hand seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. Mu Wanru hesitated and put the bowl back on the table. She took a deep breath, but she couldn't calm her thundering heartbeat. Mu Lianjue's cold and mellow voice seemed to threaten her. How can I carry out my grand plan if that old fart doesn't die? If he doesn't die, you won't be able to keep your position either. If you don't dare to make a move because of his love for you, what will he think when your identity is exposed sooner or later? The adopted daughter that he painstakingly raised and doted on for 15 years turned out to be a fake. Guess what will happen when he flies into a rage out of shame? He will definitely kill you. Mu Wanru was suddenly frightened. Her eyes widened, and her entire body trembled uncontrollably due to extreme fear. If Mu Sheng knew that her identity was fake, that she was not Mu Qingqing's biological daughter, and that she had been using this identity for 15 years, would he fly into a rage out of humiliation and really kill them all? No way. She didn't want to die. Don't think that Mu Sheng is old now. When he was younger, he was a ruthless figure in the business and political world. How much bloodshed did he cause? Mu Lianjue's frightening words still echoed in her ears. Chapter 775. She tried her best to quell the conflict in her heart, as well as her deep fear of the old man, as she slowly walked up to him. Grandpa, the medicine is almost cold. It won't be as effective once it's cold. Shall I feed it to you while it's hot? Mu Wanru asked as she squatted beside him and stirred the medicine with a spoon. He nodded lightly, but his mind seemed to be elsewhere as he did not look at her. He often looked out of the window in a daze, and his gaze was always on the Mu family's back garden. Rumor had it that the Mu residence's back garden was meticulously taken care of by Mu Qingqing. She loved flowers, especially Chinese roses. Hence, the Mu residence's back garden was once filled with colorful blossoms. From afar, it was unbelievably beautiful. Mu Qingqing loved to trim the flowers in the back garden. In the afternoon, she would sit on the swing leisurely. Ever since she passed away, the back garden had been barren for a long time. The Chinese roses she planted had withered and rotted due to neglect. The servants wanted to cut the flowers and replant them, but the old man flew into a rage and forbade anyone from entering the back garden, let alone touching an inch of the land there. The back garden of the Mu residence had once become a forbidden area. No one was allowed to enter. The petals withered and fell to the ground. The back garden had been barren for several seasons. Finally, the old man ordered people to take care of it again, but he did not let them plant any more Chinese roses. He was afraid that he would be reminded of the past. Grandpa, come. Mu Wanru scooped up the medicine and fed it to him. He slowly opened his mouth and swallowed the medicine. His eyes, however, were still looking out of the window with sorrow and trepidation. Suddenly, a line of tears overflowed from his eyes and rolled down his cheeks. They dripped into the medicine bowl with a plop. Silence reigned. Mu Wanru saw his teary eyes and stood up helplessly. She carefully asked, Grandpa, what's wrong? The old man remained expressionless and did not say a word. No one knew that today was the anniversary of Mu Qingqing's death. On this day, he would sit in the study room and quietly admire the scenery in the back garden. Today, however, the Chinese roses were no longer in full bloom. On the swing, the carefree figure could no longer be seen. Mu Wanru did not understand why he suddenly cried. She only lowered her head in fear and continued to feed him the medicine until there was not a single drop left in the bowl. The kingdom of love is a peaceful and prosperous country. Every day, there is singing and dancing, praising and thanking the officials. The king is also a righteous person. One day, the king brought his most beloved daughter, the 5-year-old Love, out on an inspection tour. Because Love was kind-hearted, she treated the maids like her own family. In order not to be discovered, the king only brought 2 guards with him. On the bed, Xianxia held a book of fairy tales in her hands. She flipped to a story titled The Real and Fake Princess and found it interesting, so she read it to Yun Tianyu. Yun Tianyu leaned into her embrace. Amid her gentle and soft voice, his eyelids drooped and his eyes drooped sleepily. Suddenly, the bedroom door was slowly pushed open. Xianxia peeked inside. He had just taken a bath and changed into his pajamas. He tossed and turned in bed, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not fall asleep. The spacious room only felt cold and cheerless. Chapter 776. Pushing the door open, he saw Xianxia reading a story to Yu Yu. Yu Yu's eyes were closed, seemingly asleep. Xiaxia's voice gradually softened. Seeing that the child had entered dreamland, she wanted to end the story. Xianxia, however, stood at the door and pitifully asked, "Mommy, can you finish the story? I still want to hear more." Xianxia looked in the direction of the voice and saw Xianxia squatting at the door with his head in his hands. She did not know how long he had been there. "Why are you squatting there?" Xianxia did not know whether to laugh or cry. "I can't sleep, so I want to hear Mommy's story." Xianxia cupped his little face. His chubby face was pink and tender, looking very adorable. He squinted his eyes and let out a crisp and gentle laugh. "Mommy's voice is so nice, and this story is so fun. Can Mommy continue to tell it to me? I really want to know what happened to this princess." Xianxia gently curled her lips as she patted the edge of the bed lightly. Xianxia's heart skipped a beat and he carefully closed the door. Afraid that the noise would wake Yun Tianyu up, he tiptoed to the bed. Xianxia reached out and pulled him into her embrace. Xianxia blushed. No one had ever read him a fairy tale before he slept. Standing at the door and watching Xianxia gently caress Yun Tianyu's hair as she read the story, he suddenly felt envious of his younger brother. For the past 7 years, Mommy would read him a fairy tale every day before he slept. How blissful! He was really envious. In the Mu residence, before he slept, he could only hug his doll and fall asleep in the cold room. It was very lonely. "Mommy, continue reading." Xianxia looked up at her expectantly. Xianxia nodded. But who would have thought that a group of traders in the palace would find out that the king was out on an inspection tour? They would send all kinds of martial arts masters to kill the king on the way. The king and the others did not know that when they were in high spirits, a few masked men suddenly appeared, scaring them into sweating profusely. The 2 loyal guards tried their best to protect the king and Princess Love, but Princess Love was still knocked unconscious. The king thought that she was dead, so he didn't have time to bring her body back, so he quickly ran away. Xianxia said, "Mommy, is this princess really dead?" "No, I just thought that the princess was dead." "Then the king must be very sad." "Yes. But why didn't the king leave with the princess?" "Ah." Xianxia was stunned. She was amused by Xianxia's persistent thirst for knowledge. It must be too late, right? At that time, many people were after the king. "The princess is so pitiful," Xianxia said with pity. But the princess didn't die. 14 years later, the king heard that Princess Love was still alive, so he sent someone to put up a notice. Whoever can find Princess Love will be rewarded handsomely. Also, the princess has a heart-shaped jade pendant with her. When she read this, she was inexplicably stumped for a moment and did not continue her sentence. "A heart-shaped jade pendant?" Xianxia widened his eyes in curiosity. "Is it a token?" "Yes." Xianxia suddenly understood and his eyes lit up. There must be only one jade pendant in the world. Then, the person who has this jade pendant must be the princess. "Mommy, did the king find the princess?" "Don't worry, Mommy will continue reading." Chapter 777. Xianxia smiled and shook off those messy thoughts. She continued to read. A 19-year-old female fugitive from the Dark Kingdom escaped here. Her name is Jean Ling. She is very beautiful and has been very scheming since she was young. When she grew up, her parents died. She was chosen by the king of the Dark Kingdom and was given the title of Empress. However, she didn't know how to repay kindness. She conspired with the Prime Minister to usurp the throne. The king saw through her and she escaped all the way here. A bad woman? Yes, a bad person. Xianxia turned the page and continued to read. When she saw the notice, Jinling was very happy. This princess love is about the same age as me. I can pretend to be her and avoid the limelight of being hunted down. I can also enjoy a lifetime of glory and wealth. Therefore, Jinling invited the best sculptor in the city to sculpt her a love jade pendant that was exactly the same as the description on the notice. However, she didn't know that the real love jade pendant would break when it was dropped. In order to not cause more trouble, Jinling killed that person. Then, she pretended to take the jade pendant and entered the palace. When the king saw her and the jade pendant, tears streamed down his face as he poured out his longing for her. Jinling also pretended to cry, but in her heart, she was crying for success. Thus, she became a princess. This woman actually pretended to be a princess? When Xianxia heard this, he suddenly clenched his fists in indignation. He was very angry. Then where is the real princess? The real princess was adopted by a fisherman's family. No one knew her name, but seeing that she was very naive, they all called her Xianxia. She lived happily with her adoptive parents. Although she knew that the fisherman couple wasn't her biological parents, she didn't know who her biological parents were. There was only a real love jade pendant by her side. Although the love jade pendant was only 18 years old, she was as beautiful as a flower. Because her family was poor, she could only go to the palace to be a maid. The head eunuch asked her to serve the princess. So pitiful. Xianxia clenched his fists even more. A sad expression appeared on his handsome little face. He was completely immersed in the story and felt distressed for the princess. One day, the king and the fake princess were having a meal. The king recalled the past and suddenly wanted to see the love jade pendant. The fake princess took off her jade pendant disapprovingly. When she was about to give it to the king, the real princess happened to bump into the fake princess while carrying a dish. The jade pendant fell to the ground, but it didn't break. The princess cursed, "You dog slave! How dare you touch the most important thing to me and my father? How dare you?" When the real princess heard this, she was so scared that she knelt on the ground. "This servant deserves to die. Please forgive me, princess." Ah! Xianxia suddenly sat down on the bed. His heart clenched as the story progressed. This fake princess is really bad. How annoying. She was clearly not the real princess, but she had actually replaced the identity of the real princess. Did the king not realize that the princess was a fake? It's too much. Xianxia couldn't help but laugh. The king doesn't know that the princess is a fake. And then, what happened after that? Xianxia asked anxiously. Chapter 778. Is the king going to find out that the princess is a fake? Xianxia suddenly said angrily, "This king is so stupid. How can he not tell the difference between a real princess and a fake one?" Dog servant, quickly pick up the jade pendant. The fake princess shouted again. The real princess picked up the jade pendant and looked at it carefully. Why is it exactly the same as mine? After serving the princess, Xian ran to an old palace maid in the palace to ask about the jade pendant. The palace maid told her the cause of the matter. Although the maid didn't mention that she was the princess, she already knew her identity based on her intuition and the jade pendant. She was very upset and wanted to confess to her father, but could the king trust a maid and not the princess by his side? He couldn't. Xianxia slowly flipped to the next page. However, Xianxia's sharp eyes noticed that Xianxia's fingertips were trembling slightly as she held the fairy tale book. Little Yicheng's heart skipped a beat as he gently held her hand. "Mommy, are you feeling unwell?" "No." Xianxia pursed her lips and continued to read. In the dead of night, the king couldn't sleep because of what happened today, so he took a walk in the palace alone. Suddenly, he heard a girl crying from the maid's room. The king couldn't help but walk there. He saw a girl holding a heart-shaped jade pendant and crying in front of the maid's room. The king took a big step forward and couldn't help but shout, "Daughter!" The heart-shaped jade pendant was frightened and looked up. When she saw the king, she loosened her grip and the jade pendant fell to the ground and shattered. The father and daughter hugged each other tightly. "Wow," Xianxia suddenly said emotionally. "The king finally found the princess." Perhaps because he was too excited, Xianxia's voice woke Yu up. The latter frowned and turned over slightly. He buried his little face in Xianxia's arms and fell asleep again. Xianxia tensed up, thinking that he was going to wake his little brother up. Seeing that he had fallen asleep again, she heaved a sigh of relief and smiled at Xianxia. The fake princess, Jean Ling, was found guilty of deceiving the emperor and offending his superiors. She should be beheaded. The love of the real princess announced to the world that it had been confirmed and allowed the loving adoptive parents, the fisherman couple, to live a good life. The kingdom of love is living a peaceful life again. After she finished reading the story, Xianxia remained in a daze for a long time. Xianxia also had a lot on her mind. She was silent for a long time, and the room was silent for a while. That king is so stupid. Xianxia suddenly said in disdain, "You can't even recognize your own daughter. You're so stupid." You wouldn't recognize it either. Xianxia didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It's been more than 10 years. The princess has grown up and must look different from when she was young. That's why the king didn't recognize her. However, Xianxia said firmly, "No, Mommy, you're wrong. I'm not as stupid as the king." If I were that king, I would definitely recognize my princess at a glance. Xianxia's expression was firm and serious. Why? Xianxia was suddenly stunned. Because if I were the king, I would definitely love my daughter deeply. As a father, how could I not recognize my own daughter? Chapter 779. Little Chen suddenly reached out his arms and hugged her waist tightly. Looking a little shy, he said, "Just like the first time I saw Mommy, I felt that Mommy gave me a warm and affectionate feeling. Do you know, Mommy? Before I met you, I would always dream of you." Dream of me? Xianxia widened her eyes in shock. She found his words unbelievable. He was just a child, wasn't he? When he was born, he was taken away by the Mu family. Mother and son had never seen each other. How did he dream of her? It's true. Xianxia never lies. Xianxia looked up. The warm and charming smile in his eyes warmed Xianxia's heart. She couldn't help but hug him. Although I couldn't see Mommy's face clearly in my dreams, I could feel the warmth from Mommy's body. I often dreamed of my little brother running in front of me. I chased after him, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't catch up with him. I always thought that it was a dream. I didn't expect that I really had a little brother and a mommy. Xianxia closed his eyes gently as he spoke. Some people say that it's telepathy. Telepathy? She didn't believe it in the past. Now she found it magical. Mommy, we've already missed each other for 7 years. Can we never be separated again? We can always be together. After hearing the fairy tale, Xianxia was deeply moved. He couldn't help but hug Xianxia's waist tightly. 7 years. 7 years of separation was neither a long nor a short period of time for her. However, to Xianxia, he had been missing his mother's company for as long as he could remember. He envied you all the time. He wanted to spend the rest of his life with his mommy and never be separated again. Xianxia slowly hugged Xianxia and said with a choked voice, "Xianxia, Mommy has been missing you for the past 7 years. In Mommy's heart, you're as important as you. Xianxia blushed when he heard this. He was overjoyed. Mommy said that in her heart, he was as important as you. Mommy, in Xianxia's heart, you're as important as Daddy. It was a soft and cute confession, full of warmth. Yu slowly opened her eyes. Her eyelids drooped as she pursed her lips. Mommy said that in her heart, Xianxia was as important as him. At the same time, he felt a sense of loss in his heart. However, he did not feel an inexplicable rejection like before. It was understandable that Mommy liked Xianxia. Chen was his older brother, and they shared the same blood. It was only natural that Mommy doted on him. However, he was certain that in Mommy's heart, she felt guilty toward Xianxia. Compared to Chen, Mommy probably loved him more. Even if it was just a little. Yu's thoughts ran wild. He felt helpless and could not help but hug Xianxia even tighter. Xianxia was stunned. She thought that he had woken up. She turned to look and saw that Yu's eyes were tightly shut. He looked quiet and obedient, as if he was still in dreamland. She patted Xianxia's forehead and said softly, "Go to sleep." "Okay. Good night, Mommy." Xianxia tucked her in but forgot to take care of himself. This kid was just like Yu. They both knew how to care for others. Chapter 780. Yun Tianyu closed his eyes, too, but he suddenly felt a warmth on the back of his hand. Startled, he opened his eyes and saw a small hand on the back of his. It was soft and warm. The hand was slightly bigger than his, so it was just right to wrap around his small hand. Yu raised his head slightly. His body was quiet and did not make a sound. Looking past Xianxia, he saw Xianxia burying his face in the blanket with his eyes tightly shut. His hand was gently placed on the back of his hand. Suddenly, he held his hand and interlocked their fingers. Both of them wore the same amethyst necklace. Under the bright moonlight outside the window, it emitted a beautiful and shimmering radiance. That was a gift from Xianxia. It was of the same design, and he was wearing the same bracelet on his wrist. I picked this out for you as a gift. Do you like it? You haven't answered my question. Do you like it? He still remembered how carefully Xianxia put the bracelet on him. His actions were sincere and gentle. At that moment, he almost blurted out, I like it. He liked this necklace. He liked it because it was very beautiful. He once suspected that Xianxia had personally picked it. He did not believe that his brother had such taste. He liked it. That was because this was the first gift from Xianxia. He cherished it from the bottom of his heart and could not bear to open it because even the packaging was exquisite. However, because of his awkward personality, he found it difficult to say those two words out loud. He always felt that it was a very embarrassing thing. Although he had not accepted Xianxia on the surface, deep down, he had already accepted him as his brother. Yu looked at Xianxia's peaceful sleeping face and could not calm down for a moment. His features were so similar to his. When the two of them stood together, it was like looking into a mirror. If one did not look at their height and figure, one would not be able to tell them apart. The image of little Chen chasing after him seemed to appear in his mind as he nervously asked, Daddy, Mommy, do you think it's good for me to live with you in the same house? A family of 4 living together. This was something he didn't even dare to think about in the past. He always felt that it was too much to hope for. Yu's eyes flickered, and her gaze fell on the amethyst necklace in her hand. Her eyes reflected the purple luster, and her pink lips couldn't help but open. I do. Yu subconsciously opened his mouth. When he realized that he had said those 2 words, he was shocked. He bit his lip hard, but he couldn't take back his words. He couldn't help but feel embarrassed. He nervously looked at Chen, only to see that the little fellow seemed to have fallen asleep and was not disturbed by his voice. Maybe he's asleep? So, she probably didn't hear what he said just now. Yu's expression finally returned to normal, and he sighed softly. Sometimes it was hard to say the truth. He always said things that didn't mean. Actually, he really liked Xianxia's gift, but when he looked at his face, it was hard for him to say the word like. Yu lay down again and slowly closed his eyes. Drowsiness overwhelmed him, and he quickly fell asleep. However, on the other side, Xianxia slowly opened his eyes. The corners of his mouth curved into a happy smile. Chapter 781. Early the next morning, Yu was shrouded in a nightmare. His forehead was drenched in cold sweat. In his dream, he was surrounded by 2 walls. He could only feel a stifling pressure on him, making it hard for him to breathe. He tried his best to escape, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not escape. He could only watch helplessly as the 2 huge walls slowly closed in on him. Just as he was about to suffocate, he woke up with a start. In his hazy sleepiness, he only felt that it was unusually crowded. Yu opened his eyes wider and looked up, only to see Xianxia's sleeping face. Startled, he tried to sit up on the bed. Just as he turned over, he saw Wuxia's handsome face right in front of him. Wuxia! Why is he sleeping here too? When did he squeeze in here? An inexplicable feeling rose in his heart. He wanted to sit up, but he felt a heavy weight pressing down on him. He immediately looked down and did not know what was pressing down on him. He did not know when Xianxia had half his body on top of him, and one of his legs was hanging on Wuxia's long legs. He struggled slightly and sat up. Only then did he get a clear view of the bed's layout. Mommy was hugging him, and Wuxia was hugging her. He was sandwiched in the middle. The 2 walls in his dream were probably because he was sandwiched between them. Xianxia's sleeping posture was more peaceful and well-behaved. The most restless one was none other than Xiao Yichen. Half of his body was on top of Xianxia's lower body, and the other leg was hanging on her body. His sleeping posture could only be described as horrible. No wonder he felt that he could not breathe in his sleep. He only had nightmares with such a heavy guy on top of him. This guy. His sleeping posture was too unsightly. Yu pushed Xiao Yichen's head in dissatisfaction, only to see Xiao Yichen turn over. His whole body was on top of him, and one of his legs was on top of Mu Yaja's face. In his sleep, Mu Yaja pushed Xiao Yichen's leg away unhappily. Little Yichen's brows furrowed slightly as he unhappily placed his foot on it. Mu Yaja pushed it away again. Xiao Yichen put his leg up again. The father-son pair seemed to be in a standoff. Yu rolled his eyes. It was still early in the morning, and he had not yet woken up. He had accumulated a belly full of anger, yet he had nowhere to vent it. In a fit of anger, he grabbed Xiao Yichen's ear and twisted it. Ouch! Xiao Yichen woke up from the pain. He rolled on the bed and got up. He looked around for a while and saw Yu's sleepy eyes filled with anger. What's wrong? Xiao Yichen rubbed his eyes and asked innocently. Look at you. How did you sleep? Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest and used him as an excuse. Little Yichen lowered his head to take a look and was baffled. What's wrong? Didn't I sleep well? You're on top of me. Are you trying to crush me to death? Yu questioned him with an aggrieved expression. Xiao Yichen rubbed his messy forehead and looked up at the sky. He pursed his lips and looked like he was about to cry. I didn't do it on purpose. You're so fierce. Also, I didn't put all my weight on you. Mu Yichen, do you always sleep in such a barbaric manner? Yu narrowed his eyes dangerously. No. How am I barbaric when I sleep? Chapter 782. No, I'm not. How is my sleeping posture barbaric? If this isn't barbaric, do you want to go to heaven? Yu exploded as he pinched his cheeks and ravaged them. Xiao Yichen had just woken up and was still in a daze. He did not react to Yu's ravaging of his cheeks and only wanted to sleep. Plop! Xiao Yichen collapsed on top of him. His whole body was on top of him. Yu's eyes widened in shock. He reached out to push him away, only to hear Xiao Yichen's face pressing against his as he mumbled sleepily. I'm so sleepy. Brother, let's sleep for a while more, okay? No. Get up. Woo. I'm clearly not awake yet. Xiao Yichen acted coquettishly on top of him. Yu was pinned down by him and could not move. He did not even have the strength to struggle as he cried out aggrievedly. Mommy! Save me! Mu Yichen, get off me right now. Do you hear me? You're crushing me to death. Ah! Xianxia was awakened from her dream by Yun Tianyou's cry for help. She thought that something had happened, but when she opened her eyes, she saw Xiao Yichen lying limply on her brother's body. She did not know whether to laugh or cry. Mommy, save me. Mu Yichen is so heavy. I can't breathe with him on top of me. Yu whined coquettishly. His small, handsome face was on the verge of tears. Xiao Yichen, be good and get off your brother. Xianxia went to carry Xiao Yichen as she coaxed him. Xiao Yichen shook his head unwillingly. No. I want to sleep with my brother. Xianxia, Yun Tianyu angrily said. I'm ordering you to get off of me. I'm heavy. No, your body is so soft. It's so comfortable to sleep on your body. Mu Yichen. Hurry up and come down. Ah. Shoo, lower your voice. Don't wake the great demon king. What great demon king? Daddy is the great demon king. He has a very bad temper when he wakes up. If you wake him up, it will be very scary. Yun Tianyu. The short 3-day holiday ended very quickly. Mu Yaja took Xianxia for a follow-up examination. The doctor said that her injuries had almost recovered, and it would be best if she recuperated for a few more days. Then, there would not be any major problems and there would not be any sequelae. The two little munchkins who were standing behind him heard the conversation. They looked at each other and finally calmed down. Xianxia was naturally very happy that her injuries had recovered. She planned to rest for a few days before returning to the set to continue filming. After sending the two children home, Xianxia planned to go to the supermarket to buy some daily necessities. Mu Yaja was, of course, the one in charge of driving her. Xianxia went to the supermarket to buy many daily necessities. While pushing the trolley, she compared the different styles of products in front of the display cabinets. Wuxia stood beside her. Seeing her focused look, he found it a little strange. What are you looking at? I'm looking at the price. I'll buy whichever is cheaper. Xianxia was already used to comparing prices. Her salary was not high in the past, so she had to calculate everything carefully. Every time she returned to the supermarket, she would take a while to carefully compare the price-performance ratio before buying it. After returning home, she would carefully record it. Even though she no longer needed to live frugally, she still couldn't get rid of this habit. Which color do you like? Chapter 783. This is a black and white checkered one. He preferred simple colors and designs. He didn't like things with complicated patterns. Xianxia made a mental note of it. In the car, Xianxia sent Lin Fengtian a WeChat message to inform him. Not long after, perhaps because Lin Fengtian wasn't busy, he replied with a long reply. Xia, where have you been these few days? You weren't at the hospital, and I couldn't get through to your phone. I originally brought the crew to the hospital to visit you, but the doctor said that you were discharged. You were discharged so early. Why don't you rest for a while? I went on a vacation to relax, Xianxia replied with a smiley face. Lin Fengtian replied, Oh, it's good to go out to relax. I was busy with the crew and couldn't visit you in time. I'm sorry. Director Lin, don't say that. You're a big director with a lot of work to do every day. You must be busy. She teased him mischievously. Lin Fengtian replied with a string of ellipses. Then he sent another message. Rest for a while. Welcome back to the crew. Okay, thank you. You still plan to return to the crew? Wuxia looked straight ahead and asked. Yes. Xianxia nodded. They stopped at a traffic light. Wuxia suddenly turned to look at her and said, I'll take care of you. Ha! Xianxia didn't react for a moment and looked at him. However, when she came back to her senses and heard what he said, her expression changed. What do you mean? Literally. Wuxia looked at her deeply. Xia, I'll take care of you. So, don't act or work. Just stay by my side. Xianxia stared at him in a daze. She couldn't react for a long time. She didn't know why, but generally speaking, when a man said this to a woman, most women would feel very happy. However, when she heard such words from Wuxia, for some reason, she felt a little unhappy. Wuxia fixed his eyes on her, only to see her silent, handsome eyebrows slightly raised. What, listening to what I said, you seem unhappy? The red light turned green, but Wuxia didn't react immediately. It wasn't until the irritable honking behind him alerted him that he turned his gaze to the front. He stepped on the accelerator and the car continued to move forward. The mottled shadows of the trees outside the window kept flashing by. The sun shone through the window, warming the room. Wuxia, are you willing to raise me? Yes. Wuxia's lips curled into a smile. He thought it was a happy thing to raise the woman he loved. Moreover, he had a magnificent empire of wealth. Did his woman need to go out to work and be looked down upon by others? When he thought of that day when Yan Bingqing had slapped her, his heart throbbed with pain. In his heart, blacklisting her was still letting her off lightly. This kind of woman, who dared to touch his woman, deserved to die. However, when he thought of her returning to the set, to the smoky entertainment industry, there would be a second Yan Bingqing, and a third Yan Bingqing, he was worried. He couldn't bear for her to be wronged, that was all. I'll take care of you. Wuxia controlled the steering wheel. So, you don't have to return to that set anymore. I don't want it, she replied blandly. Wuxia looked at her with surprise. Why? Why did you say no? Chapter 784. What's so strange about it? I just feel that it's very strange. You don't let me work or film, so what do you want me to do? Be a housewife quietly at home, like most Japanese wives who only need to stay at home and quietly wait for their husband's return? You said that you're raising me, but I feel that I'm no different from a canary in a cage. She calmly stated her point of view, and every word of her point of view made Wuxia's heart flutter. The Mu family was a standard patriarchal family. Perhaps some views were deeply ingrained in his heart, but Xianxia would ruthlessly break these ideas every time. Women needed to work. Women needed to be financially independent. Women couldn't rely on men all the time. She was indeed different from other women. Take the entertainment industry for example. Many female celebrities enter the entertainment industry for nothing more than the competition for fame and fortune. They long to stand out, and even more so, they long to fly up into the branches and become a phoenix, marrying into a wealthy family and becoming a young mistress of a prestigious family. Women in wealthy families were indeed like canaries in a cage. Everything revolved around the center of the man. On the surface, they seemed to be endlessly glamorous, but in reality, in order to maintain the appearance of prosperity and vanity, they were physically and mentally exhausted. Even so, there were still many women who flocked to this cage like a flock of ducks. However, she only wanted to escape from such a cage. How can you compare yourself to those women? Wuxia unhappily grabbed her chin and kissed her lips unhappily. You're not a canary, you're my woman. Xianxia was stunned, and her eyes widened in astonishment. Wuxia continued, You're different from them. I said that I'm raising you because you're too stupid and get bullied all day long. How am I stupid? She waved her fist and protested unhappily. Wuxia grabbed her hand and said, If you want to work, if you want to film, that's fine. But don't let yourself be wronged. If you're bullied, I'll be very angry. Really angry. When he saw her being humiliated by Yan Bingqing, he almost couldn't control himself and turned the entire crew upside down. Xianxia was secretly shocked and looked at him. Her heart warmed as she smiled and said, All right, I won't let myself be wronged and bullied by others anymore. Did I do that for the sake of the big picture? For the sake of the big picture, you don't care about yourself? Wuxia said coldly, Do you know? My heart will ache? However, his voice stopped abruptly. There were some words that he found hard to say. Xianxia blinked. Seeing that he still had something to say, she asked curiously, No what? Nothing. Wuxia reached out and rubbed her hair, but he couldn't help but poke her eyebrows. Woman, I realize that sometimes, you really are a blockhead. What's wrong now? There are so many women in the industry who want to get close to me. You're turning a blind eye to such a big backer? Xianxia's peach blossom eyes were bright and beautiful. She smiled faintly and said, Of course, I'm relying on you. Why wouldn't I rely on you? But it was strange. Who would beg others to rely on their backers? Xianxia pursed her lips and smiled. Sometimes, she thought that this man was quite cute. She hadn't been in the capital these few days and didn't know what had happened in the capital. She also didn't know that Yan Bingqing had been blacklisted. Chapter 785. She just did not want them to worry about these things. Therefore, Xianxia did not know what kind of embarrassing situation Yan Bingqing was in at the moment. She felt as if there was a fishbone stuck in her chest when she thought about how she would have to fight with this hateful woman after joining the cast. It was extremely uncomfortable. What should she do? She hated Yan Bingqing so much and did not want to see her at all. She was very unhappy when she thought about how she would have to see that disgusting face every day when she returned to the cast. She had a temper too. She had tolerated her on set because she did not want to cause any trouble. She heard that Yan Bingqing was arranged by the investor and that Yan Bingqing could get the role because of her background. That was why she could do whatever she wanted in the cast. Although Yan Bingqing and her agent had specially come to the hospital to apologize to her, she had also given Yan Bingqing a lot of cold shoulders on the spot because of Wuxia's power. Yan Bingqing was probably going to die of anger because of her. Xianxia pursed her lips. To be honest, she had felt secretly satisfied when she had humiliated Yan Bingqing. But when she thought about how she would have to meet this woman again when she returned to the cast, she did not know what she would do to hurt her. Xianxia felt inexplicably irritated. The car slowly drove into the underground car park and stopped in the parking space. Xianxia glanced at Wuxia's handsome side profile, which was hidden in the shadows, and thought about it. How about? She thought to herself. Xianxia's lips curled into a smile. She stretched out her arms and her enchanting body slowly leaned forward and wrapped around his neck. A trace of surprise flashed across Wuxia's eyes. He saw her leaning slightly closer to him and whispering in his ear, "Shh." This soft and gentle call seemed to be able to make one's bones go soft. He had never heard a voice that was more moving than this. It turned out that his name sounded so good when she said it. This woman actually took the initiative to court him? Or was she trying to seduce him with her beauty? Mu Yaja looked at her with an astonished expression, only to see that in the dim light of the basement, her face and ears were flushed pink. She softly snuggled up to him, her eyes coquettish and seductive, extremely alluring. She was like a little demon who could charm all living beings. He raised his eyebrows playfully. This woman, being so attentive, it seemed like she had something to ask of him. Can you promise me something? Xianxia whispered in his ear. He closed his eyes and smelled the fresh fragrance on her body. Some of his thoughts could no longer be suppressed and became restless. Reaching out his arm, he held her shoulders and pulled her into his embrace. He couldn't help but gently bite her pink ear. Stupid woman, are you trying to seduce me with your beauty? Sure enough, he saw her softly stick to him and smiled coquettishly. Can you do me a favor? What is it? That Yan Bingqing, can you kick her out? Xianxia narrowed her eyes and smiled. I don't want to be in the same production team as her. Mu Yaja gave a deep smile when he heard that. Yan Bingqing? He had already blacklisted her and removed her from the cast of The Green Apple. Moreover, Yan Bingqing's videos had already been cut and her role would be played by another person. She didn't know about it yet. Did she think that Yan Bingqing was still on the set? Chapter 786. He wanted to hear how this woman would beg him. She rarely asked him to do something for her. Are you afraid of her? Mu Yaja pulled her into his arms, grabbed her chin, and smiled. Not necessarily. That day when Yan Bingqing came to the hospital to apologize to you, you were so fierce with your little mouth. After saying that, he couldn't help but lower his head and gently seal her lips. His pearly white teeth nibbled on her soft lips, and he was a little infatuated with the fresh fragrance between her lips and teeth. For a moment, he didn't pay attention to his strength and bit her painfully. Xianxia's eyes were tinged with a hint of coquettishness, and she bit him back hard. She pressed her lips tightly against his thin lips, caressed his face, and said slowly in a coquettish tone, "Who's afraid of her? I just think that she's quite disgusting. If she were to play any tricks again, it would be quite annoying. Moreover, her acting skills are so bad. I'm so tired that I'm practically peeling off a layer of water from acting with her. Why don't we just kick this kind of actress out of the production team? Please." It was rare for her to act coquettishly. Her soft and coquettish tone made one feel numb in their bones. Her delicate little mouth pressed tightly against his thin lips, her breath smelling like orchids, and her pair of charming eyes met his handsome ones. Her charming eyes seemed to have an electric current. Mu Yaja only felt a current from his heart to his limbs and bones, and a burning sensation suddenly came from his lower abdomen. It was boiling hot and terrifying. His eyes gradually deepened, and there was a deep desire in the depths of his eyes that didn't need to be concealed at all. He was straightforward and explicit. "Woman, you're asking the right person." He suddenly held the back of her neck, and his tall and imposing body pressed against her. Dealing with Yan Bingqing is just a matter of saying a word. I can shut her out of the industry. The question is, what are you going to do next? Mu Yaja waited for her performance. He wanted to see what this woman would do. Xianxia's eyes flashed. This man was obviously using this as a pretext to tempt her. She thought that if she wanted him to shut out Yan Bingqing, she only needed to say a few nice words and act coquettishly, and it would be a matter of course. But she didn't expect that this vile man actually had conditions. Mu Yaja pressed his body down, his dark and deep eyes fixed on her face, looking forward to her performance when she wanted to please him. For a moment, she did not understand the meaning behind his words. What do you mean? What do you mean? Woman, it's impossible for me to not have conditions when you ask me to do something. Click. 2. The partition slowly rose, blocking the transparent windows, and separating the inside and outside of the car into two different worlds. He casually pressed the button, and the atmosphere lights in the car lit up with a purple light. At this moment, the private car park was surrounded by darkness. You have conditions? Xianxia's lips were a little stiff. What conditions? He slowly attached himself to her ear, and his sexy and charming voice whispered in her ear. Woman, please me, Chapter 787. At this moment, Mu Yaja was like a strategist. In fact, when it came to relationships, the man was usually the one who took the initiative. Xianxia, in particular, was the passive party most of the time. He wanted to see how she would perform if she were to take the initiative in this matter. Xianxia pursed her lips, feeling like retreating a little. Wuxia glanced at the flickering light in her eyes and teased. Why? You don't dare? What's there to be afraid of? Xianxia refused to admit her mistake. I just don't know how to. I'll teach you. With that, Wuxia bent his head and kissed her. The moment he kissed her, she was still as delicious and tempting as before. The tip of his tongue kept rubbing against her lips, infatuated with the sweet taste between her lips and teeth. However, no matter how much he kissed, he could not get enough of it. Her little mouth was like the most addictive poison in the world, and he wanted more after tasting it. During their vacation on the island, with Yun Tianyou's interference, he did not have the chance to be intimate with her. His body was already tense from yearning for her. He wanted her very much. Especially when he kissed her lips, the desire buried in his body became more and more clamorous and restless. Hugging her, his arms slowly slid down to her waist and gently kneaded her soft waist. It was so small that he could hold it in his hand. She was thin and petite. Xianxia nestled in his spacious embrace and knew how to respond. The dark desire in her body was also aroused by him, and rippled like a river of spring water. Suddenly, he stopped the kiss and looked up at her with a meaningful gaze. Xianxia, who was originally immersed in the endless tenderness of the kiss, stopped abruptly. Have you learned it? He asked in a low voice. Xianxia pursed her lips and said somewhat mockingly, Your kissing skills are average. Average? Wuxia's eyes revealed a dangerous look. Are you saying that my kissing skills are average? Don't tell me that you've never kissed any woman before me? Xianxia asked with a sly look in her eyes. Wuxia glanced at her but did not say anything. This stupid woman. How could he admit that he had never had any woman before her? She was his only woman. Xianxia slowly caressed his lips, held his face, and gently kissed the corner of his mouth, continuing the kiss that had stopped abruptly. The temperature in the car suddenly rose. She placed her hands on his shoulders and suddenly flipped over to sit on top of him. Her enchanting and coquettish figure intimately pressed against him. Her small hands slowly moved downwards along his chest. Yun Tianyu sat in the study room. During his vacation, his tablet and phone had been confiscated by Wuxia. Once he got home, he switched on his computer. His inbox was flooded with emails. He was browsing through the emails when his phone rang. Yu picked up the call and heard Li Hanlin's voice from the other end. Director Yun. Your call finally got through. I thought you were missing and was so worried that I almost filed a missing person report for you. Yu's lips twitched. I went on vacation with my dearest mommy. Vacation? Li Hanlin was stunned. It was so scary. For the past few days, he could not get through to his phone, did not reply to his messages, and did not reply to his emails. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. I have something to report, Yu said. Chapter 788. Li Hanlin then told him about how Yan Bingqing had been banned from the entertainment industry. Yun Tianyu interrupted him impatiently. You don't have to tell me about this. Question mark. What does Yan Bingqing have to do with me? Director Yun, Yan Bingqing was blacklisted by Huanyu because of Mu Yaja's order, said Li Hanlin. Yun Tianyou's interest was piqued when he brought it up. Why? Because Yan Bingqing bullied a newbie in the production team. She used a scene to slap a newbie 16 times. Bullied a newbie? Yun Tianyu tapped his fingertips on the tabletop and narrowed his eyes dangerously. Yan Bingqing slapped a newbie? An ominous feeling rose in his heart. Sure enough, he heard Li Hanlin's solemn voice say, Rumor has it that the newbie who was slapped 16 times is your mommy. Yan Bingqing slapped her a total of 16 times. I heard that many people present saw it. However, to protect your mommy, Huanyu ordered the production team to keep it a secret, so D***. Yun Tianyu stood up abruptly and walked to the window. He clenched his fists tightly and was filled with hostility. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I only found out about this 2 days ago. I don't pay much attention to entertainment news, so I only found out about it from the media reports 2 days ago. I tried calling you, but I couldn't get through. Li Hanlin's tone was full of guilt. Yun Tianyu bit his knuckles hard. His handsome brows furrowed deeply as he looked out of the window. His pair of clear and bright peach blossom eyes instantly emitted a piercingly cold glint. How could he be so careless? His mommy was injured, yet he only found out about it now. It could not be wrong. That Yan Bingqing must have bullied his mommy a lot in the production team. Mild concussion, subconjunctival hemorrhage, perforated eardrum. In his mind, every frightening word flashed through his mind. He had seen his mommy's medical report. The doctor said that it was an accidental injury during filming, so he was skeptical at that time. Injury? If mommy was filming martial arts, it was understandable for her to tease and injure herself. However, he had secretly glanced at the script a few times when filming a youth drama. There was no dangerous plot at all. How could mommy be so seriously injured? Could filming produce subconjunctival hemorrhage? Perforated eardrums? Yun Tianyu did not believe her. However, Mu Yaja had also said the same thing. Even mommy didn't mention it too much. When he asked repeatedly after the incident, mommy only said that it was because of an injury during filming. He never thought that his mommy would be bullied to this extent on set. His hand that was gripping the phone kept trembling, and his knuckles turned white. Li Hanlin also wanted to hide it from him. But after thinking about it, he didn't dare to do so. Yun Tianyu would find out about this sooner or later. Yun Shishir had always been his reverse scale, his weakness. No one could touch her. If anyone dared to harm a single hair on Yun Shishir's head, they would undoubtedly have touched the dragon's reverse scale and would definitely be enraged. Who is this Yan Bingqing? How dare you run amok in the crew so brazenly? I heard that the production team of The Green Apple has a total of 4 major investors. Other than Laji Holdings, there are 3 other powerful investors. One of the investors was Yang Shoucheng. Yan Bingqing's biggest backer is Yang Shoucheng. Yang Shoucheng? The boss of Hong Kong's European King Entertainment. Chapter 789. Li Hanlin continued. Yan Bingqing's PR team is Yang Shoucheng's former ace team under European King. They have made many A-list actresses famous, and their methods of creating hype are top-notch. Yan Bingqing's rise to fame can be said to be entirely due to Yang Shoucheng's handiwork. Now, Yan Bingqing has been blacklisted by Huanyu. At least in the domestic market, Yan Bingqing has no way to make a comeback. Yu frowned. I don't care if she's blacklisted or not. If you dare to touch a strand of my mommy's hair, I won't let you off. After hanging up, Xiao Yichen suddenly pushed open the door to the study room with a murderous look. He originally wanted to enter the study room, but as he stood at the door, he heard the conversation between Yun Tianyu and Li Hanlin. He held his breath and was furious when he learned that his mommy had been slapped by someone on set. Yun Tianyu turned around and was shocked to see him. Why didn't you knock before entering my room? I was just outside the door, so I heard everything. Xiao Yichen's face turned cold. Mommy was bullied on set? Yun Tianyu turned around and coldly said, You don't have to care about this. Why? I'll handle this. No. Someone bullied my mommy. I want to avenge her. Xiao Yichen clenched his fists. Didn't you hear me? You don't have to care about this. Yun Tianyu's lips formed a cold and arrogant line as he coldly retorted. At this moment, his face no longer had the dazzling smile he had displayed in front of Yun Shishir. Instead, it was cold and unfamiliar. His cold and stern expression made it seem as if his flesh and bones were made of ice and snow. It was frightening. Xiao Yichen was startled. His face turned cold in an instant, and the curve of his lips froze. That's my mommy too. My mommy was bullied. I'm sad too. Why don't you let me care about this? Yun Tianyu frowned and turned around. Just as he was about to flare up, he caught sight of Xiao Yichen's determined expression. Glancing at his flushed face, the words that were about to escape his lips froze in his throat. I can tell you, but you have to keep this a secret from mommy. Xiao Yichen nodded. Okay. Yun Shishir had just returned home and put the daily necessities she had bought in the storeroom. She called out loudly, You Xiao Yichen. Not long after, the 2 little lads pounced on her with bright smiles on their faces, each occupying half of her arms. Yun Shishir hugged the 2 glutinous rice balls tightly. Mommy, you're back. Mommy, you kiss kiss. The 2 little balls fought to be the first to kiss Yun Shishir's cheeks, ignoring Mu Yaja who was behind them, as if he was air. Mu Yaja deeply felt that he was being ignored. Yu suddenly asked suspiciously, Mommy, Why are you back so late? Xianxia's face revealed a hint of awkwardness. She subconsciously avoided his suspicious gaze and explained, Mommy went to the supermarket to buy some things. But you've been out for 4 hours. Yu narrowed his eyes, which were full of suspicion. The supermarket is very close to home. It takes less than half an hour to go there and back. It won't take 4 hours at all. Xianxia's face broke out in cold sweat. She was somewhat speechless. Did Mommy secretly do something behind my back? As Yu spoke, he glanced warily at Wuxia behind him. His intuition was so sharp that it made Xianxia blush with shame. This little guy, did he have to be so sensitive? Chapter 790. Yu, Mommy will cook dinner for you guys today, okay? Xianxia smilingly interrupted him to avoid this dangerous topic. Her suggestion was met with Yu's heartless rejection. Mommy, you've just recovered from your injury, so don't go to the kitchen. Besides, the food you cook isn't as good as mine. Every time you finish cooking, the kitchen will be a mess, as if after a war. It's very tiring for me to clean up. Wuxia could not help glancing at her when he heard this. Xianxia blushed a little at his ridicule, and the corner of her lips twitched violently. How could this rascal ruin her plans like this? Xianxia helplessly sat down on the sofa. It was rare for her to show off her culinary skills, but with Yu around, she did not even have the chance to do so. She could only carry Xianxia on the sofa and watch cartoons with him. Mommy, I don't like to watch cartoons. Xianxia comfortably nestled in her arms and acted coquettishly. Xianxia raised a brow. What do you like to watch then? Channel 7. Channel 7. Xianxia fell silent. Channel 7 was a military channel, and its content was all about war and military affairs. Hence, Xianxia switched to Channel 7. In the kitchen, there were flashes of knives and swords. When Wuxia entered the kitchen, he saw Yuntianyo's back, who was earnestly washing the dishes. Sensing his footsteps, Yuntianyu turned to look at him from the corner of his eyes and suddenly asked, Daddy, what do you like to eat? HM? Wuxia raised a brow in surprise. When he realized that this daddy really came from the little guy's mouth, he was slightly stunned. This was the first time this little guy had taken the initiative to call him Daddy. In the past, when the little guy called him Daddy, he would either coerce or force him to do so unwillingly. Today, this was the first time he had taken the initiative to call him that. Wuxia's heart warmed, and he couldn't come back to his senses for a moment. Yuntianyu furrowed his brows and blurted out, Daddy, why aren't you saying anything? Is he suffering from Alzheimer's? Wuxia's face instantly darkened. This guy was not cute at all. She felt touched just now. Wuxia couldn't help but reach out to rub his hair. Yuntianyu did not evade him though. Instead, he quietly let him ravage his hair like a docile kitten. Wuxia was even more surprised. In the past, Yu was extremely repulsed by his intimate actions. If someone touched him, even if it was just a strand of his hair, he would avoid it like the plague. He wouldn't let anyone touch him at all. Wuxia was puzzled. Was this child possessed? Today, he was unexpectedly docile and cute. He was not like before, when he would bare his fangs and brandish his claws at him like a kitten whose territory was threatened. Wuxia tentatively pinched his cheeks again. They were sticky, soft, and chubby. The flesh on his face was as tender as tofu. It felt good to the touch. Yu did not resist at all. Instead, he let him ravage his cheeks, but his hands did not stop moving. He quietly washed the vegetables, smoothed them out, and placed them on the chopping board. Just as he picked up the kitchen knife, a pair of strong arms slowly encircled his waist. His heart skipped a beat. From the corner of his eye, he looked back and saw Wuxia embracing him from behind as if he were hugging a teddy bear. His embrace was so warm and spacious. Chapter 791. He could even clearly feel the man's toned muscles. Those handsome lines were strong and masculine. Yu's hand movements suddenly slowed down. He suddenly remembered that in the past, when kindergarten classes were over, many of his classmates' fathers would wait outside the door early. He would always watch those children fly into their father's arms. He enviously fantasized that such strong chests should be a very warm world, right? Fatherly love was what he yearned for the most since he was young. He would always fantasize about how good it would be if he had a father. However, When a strange man really wanted to intrude into their home, he was extremely resistant and unwilling to accept it. Still, so what if he resisted? His mommy liked this man. During these few days of vacation, even though he repeatedly tried to obstruct her, he could tell that his mommy liked this man. She probably liked him a lot, right? He had never seen his mommy show such a shy and adorable expression in front of other men. Since this was the man his mommy liked, what reason did he have to reject him? He had previously told Xianxia that he would unconditionally approve of whatever she chose and approved of. Hence, he no longer resisted Wuxia like before. This man might really be the man who could accompany his mommy for the rest of her life. Since that was the case, accepting it calmly was the greatest respect he could give her. Even though his possessiveness was causing trouble, he still felt uneasy. He was worried that this father-son pair would invade his mommy's heart. He was no longer as important as he used to be. Yu bit his lower lip. When he came back to his senses, he suddenly felt a hand touching his body. It touched his wrist and then his butt. Unable to tolerate it, he turned around and asked, "What are you doing?" Wuxia slapped his butt and muttered to himself, "Baby, why are you so skinny? You're even slimmer than Xianxia." Yu said, "Can you not compare me to that inhuman?" Xianxia's physique was shockingly good. When Wuxia first threw him into the special forces, he thought that the little guy would come running back crying. However, less than a month later, the head of the special forces called and said that the young master had adapted well in the training camp. He was young, but his physique was very strong. On the other hand, Yu's physique was very weak. He had touched the boy's frame earlier. The boy's frame was slim and slender, just like a pretty boy's. His arms, especially, were more than enough for him to wrap around the boy's arms with 2 fingers and still have room to spare. Yu took a rag and slowly wiped the kitchen knife. She said indifferently, "I accepted you, but it doesn't mean that I like you. I accepted you because I will accept any man that mommy recognizes unconditionally." Wuxia was startled. His gaze fell on the side of his beautiful and exquisite face, only to see his drooping eyelashes, which were like the feathers of a black phoenix, fluttering like the wings of a butterfly. "Don't you like me?" Wuxia could not help pinching his tender cheeks. "Is the answer important whether I like you or not?" Yu raised a brow and retorted, "How is it not important? Of course it was important. He was his son. Of course, he cared about his feelings." Chapter 792. I'm just a passerby in your lives. Most of the time, the warmth that mommy needs is not something that I can give her. Only you can give it to her. Mommy likes you, so I accept you. But that doesn't mean that I approve of you. Wuxia was stunned. Yu continued, "I've always doted on mommy. I can't bear to make her sad. So, you're not allowed to bully her. Even if you make her feel wronged, don't let me know. Because, even if mommy forgives you, I won't." Wuxia could not help but feel that this son of his was really interesting and adorable to say such things. "You're not allowed to let my mommy down." A pair of beautiful eyes filled with menace. To be honest, it was not appropriate to describe him as a mother-protective demon. His son was a true mother-protective demon. Yu continued, "Since you've provoked my mommy, you'll have to provoke her forever. Don't make mommy sad. She's actually not as stubborn as she looks. She has a fragile heart that will break at the slightest touch. If you dare to make her sad, don't blame me for being ruthless." There was no doubt about it. If he dared to make his mommy sad, he would blow up the headquarters of Dishing Financial Group in the next second. This son of his was only gentle in front of his mommy, but he was really cold and rough to others. Wuxia suddenly caressed Yu's cheek. He lowered his head and planted a loving kiss between his brows. Yu was stunned. His eyes widened as he stared at him in disbelief. The next second, his tender cheeks flushed with shyness. Yu curled his lips, but the next moment, his face fell. He awkwardly reached out his hand and rubbed the spot where Wuxia had kissed with disdain. Although his face was full of disdain, his heart was beating wildly. He was nervous and shy. Yu looked up and glared at him shyly. His pink lips were tightly pursed, but his eyes could not hide his yearning for intimacy with him. What a proud boy. How could his darling's personality be so awkward? Sometimes she was quite cute. He reached out and ruffled Yu's hair as he said, "Thank you." Thank you for having such a well-behaved son who had protected her from the beginning to the end for 7 years. For what? Thank you for always protecting Mommy. This is what I should do. There's no need to thank me. Yu scoffed. Oh yeah, what do you like to eat? I'll cook it for you. You're willing to cook for me? Yu blushed and said coldly, Why? Can't I? I like everything you cook, Wuxia said honestly. In fact, he was extremely picky. However, as long as it was something his son made for him, he would like it. Yu pursed her lips and pondered for a moment. All right, I'll make sweet and sour pork for you. Okay. Wuxia turned around and bumped into Xianxia and Xiao who were eavesdropping on their conversation at the door. The father and son's lips twitched. Xianxia said coquettishly, Yu, how dare you give your daddy special treatment behind my and Xiao back? Yu immediately felt wronged. Mommy, no, I didn't give him. That's great. Daddy can give us special treatment. We all have special treatment, Xiao said enviously. Chapter 793. Yu made sweet and sour pork for Daddy, but what did he make for Mommy? Xianxia teased him. Yu replied cutely, Yu made Mommy's favorite food. Sweet and sour pork is also Mommy's favorite. Yu only has Mommy in his heart. All right. I won't tease you anymore. Xianxia did not know whether to laugh or cry. Her precious son was so adorable. Looking at Xiaxia's charming smile, Tianyou's heart was filled with contentment. He knew clearly that his mommy was teasing him on purpose. That was because his mommy loved his innocence the most. He unreservedly displayed the side of him that his mommy loved the most. Even if he did not hesitate to act cute. The dim lights on the quiet street made it seem even more deserted. The night gradually turned chilly, and the evening wind blew a chill. Yan Bingqing could not help shrinking her body and quickening her pace. Returning home late from the studio, Yan Bingqing looked dejected as she paced back and forth on the street corner. In the past, when she was alone on the streets, she wished she could be fully armed, wearing sunglasses and a hat, for fear that the paparazzi would tail her and take photos. Now, however, no matter how gorgeously dressed she was, the paparazzi would no longer tail her. Huan Yu's ban was thorough. In the first few days, her scandals were all over the internet. Her unbearable past was exposed to the public. Adultery, abortion, drug addiction, corrupt private life, and being a kept woman. These unsightly scandals were displayed one by one in front of everyone. Her reputation took a nosedive. This was the entertainment industry. When you were promoted, you were a high and mighty queen with limitless glory. When you were stepped on, you became a drowning dog that everyone despised. Everyone stepped on you, and each step was more heartless than the last. In the past, when she appeared in the headlines, her makeup was exquisite and her beauty was stunning. Now, however, when the media published her photos, she was haggard, disheveled, and down and out. Following that, Huan Yu issued an order to prohibit any media from reporting anything related to her. As long as there were rumors about her on the internet, they would be quickly deleted. News about her vanished without a trace on the vast internet, and there was no longer any exposure for her. This was Huan Yu's method, ruthless and thorough. She had thoroughly experienced Wuxia's ruthlessness. Yan Bingqing laughed mockingly. She suddenly felt that she was so pitiful. She had offended Wuxia, but she didn't even have a chance to struggle. But that wasn't the most terrifying part. What was even more frightening was that, in addition to the mainland, Hong Kong and overseas, all the advertising endorsements, movie contracts, and resources that she had racked her brains to obtain, those originally loyal fans, had all left her. Regarding her, there was only a sea of criticism on the internet. It wasn't as if she hadn't experienced a low point since her debut. But for so many years, she had exhausted all means to achieve fame and fortune. She was almost unscrupulous. It wasn't easy for her to be crowned as Huan Yu's big sister. Flowers, applause, fame, money, everything she had was now gone. What she faced was only indifference, suspicion, and slander. Behind her back, there were so many people who were pointing fingers and pointing fingers. The most frightening thing was that it was impossible for her to even find a normal job. Even all her assets in the bank were frozen. Overnight, her hundreds of millions of assets evaporated, leaving her with nothing. Chapter 794. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a car's horn behind her. She turned around and saw a black car following closely behind her. She suddenly had an ominous premonition and quickened her pace. The headlights suddenly turned on, illuminating the road in front of her. Yan Bingqing was stunned, and the shadow under her feet elongated. She turned around in a panic, but because the lights were too bright, she couldn't see who it was. The car slowly approached her. Yan Bingqing was so nervous that she sucked in a breath of cold air, turned around, and ran forward quickly. The car suddenly sped up, and with the sound of the engine, it brushed past her. Yan Bingqing's waist was suddenly hit, and she felt a piercing pain. She was caught off guard and fell to the ground. A layer of skin scraped off her wrist. With a screeching sound of brakes, the car made a sharp U-turn. Yan Bingqing bent her body in a sorry state. Panting heavily, she turned around and saw the car stop by the roadside. Two men in black got out of the car, and with a murderous aura, they approached her dangerously. You guys. Who are you? Yan Bingqing looked at them warily. A strange heart-wrenching pain came from her lower abdomen, and fine beads of cold sweat appeared on her forehead. She endured the pain in her lower abdomen and struggled to get up. Stumbling forward, she took out her phone and dialed Mo Yan's number with trembling hands. However, before the call was connected, a cold wind came from behind. Yan Bingqing's hair was suddenly grabbed, and the phone in her hand was snatched away. It fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. One of the men pushed her to the ground and sat on top of her. He waved his hand and slapped her hard on the cheek. The other man heartlessly dislocated the joints in her arm. Yan Bingqing groaned. She felt her head buzzing and her vision turning white. No, don't. What do you want? Yan Bingqing struggled to kick her legs. The men bent their knees and kicked her body. Their hands gripped her throat tightly, and their knuckles tightened. Yan Bingqing's face was flushed red. She frowned and coughed non-stop. Gradually, she felt a buzzing sound in her ears and her mind went blank. Just as she was about to suffocate, a cold voice sounded, "Let her go." The two men immediately let her go. Yan Bingqing raised her head in a panic and saw a thin little boy standing not far away. In the dazzling headlights, Yan Bingqing couldn't see the little boy's face clearly for a moment, but she could vaguely see his delicate outline. His eyes emitted a cold light. "Your name is Yan Bingqing?" "I?" Yun Tianyu slowly narrowed his eyes and walked toward her gracefully. His steps were extremely graceful, as if he was taking a leisurely stroll. When he reached her side, she was finally able to clearly see his handsome and delicate features. Yu lowered his head. His cold gaze fell on Yan Bingqing's flustered and helpless face. His eyes were filled with contempt and disdain. Who are you?" Yan Bingqing's pale lips trembled helplessly. Even though the person standing in front of her at this moment was just a child who seemed to have no strength to truss a chicken, when she met his pair of cold and dark eyes, her heart couldn't help but tremble from fear. This boy had a mature aura that did not match his age, and a cold aura was constantly emitting from his body. Chapter 795. Yan Bingqing frantically tried to get up from the ground, but Yu lifted his legs slightly and expressionlessly stepped on her dislocated wrist. "Ah!" Yan Bingqing shrieked. The excruciating pain from her wrist made her break out in cold sweat. "You're Yan Bingqing." Yu opened his mouth. His voice was clearly still childish, but his tone was bone-chilling, making one's hair stand on end. Yan Bingqing shuddered. Who exactly are you?" "You don't have to know who I am," Yun Tianyu slowly said. "I'm only here to take back some things for my mommy." "What do you mean?" Yan Bingqing was stunned. The child suddenly raised his voice and said, "Help her up." "Yes." Two men in suits immediately went forward and helped her up. Yan Bingqing felt her legs go weak. The scene in front of her was too strange. A group of tall men in suits, who looked well-trained, were actually waiting for orders from such a young child. If she did not see it with her own eyes, she would not believe that a child's words could be so inviolable. "Hit her," Yun Tianyu casually ordered. A man in a suit walked up to her and, without a word, gave her a tight slap. Yan Bingqing's face was abruptly slapped to one side. Caught off guard, her lips and teeth collided violently. She felt a sharp pain on her lips, and she immediately tasted a sweet, fishy taste. Her ears buzzed. The strength of a man's hand was no match for that of a woman's. This was especially so for a well-trained bodyguard with a military background. His slap was 5 times that of Yan Bingqing's. Yan Bingqing was a little dazed by this slap. She groaned in pain but could not even make a sound. Her throat seemed to be blocked. She could not even make a sound due to the immense fear. Does it hurt? Yun Tianyu raised his arrogant chin slightly. His eyes were calm and his voice was gentle, yet it made one shudder. Yan Bingqing's lips trembled uncontrollably as tears welled up in her eyes. Continue, Yun Tianyu ordered. The man gave her another slap. Smack. Yan Bingqing's hands were tied up. She didn't even have the chance to struggle. After 2 slaps, half of her face instantly went numb and lost all feeling. Tears overflowed from her eyes and trickled down. Woo woo woo. She let out a soft sob. All the grievances she had suffered these past few days turned into tears, wetting her face. Continue. Smack. The slap's soul-trembling force. Yan Bingqing cried. Why are you doing this to me? I know I'm wrong, but isn't that enough? Is this not enough? She was already in a desperate situation and had nothing left. Was this punishment enough? Yun Tianyu's eyes were cold as he nonchalantly asked, Do you think it's enough? I think it's enough. It's enough. I'm already living a life worse than death. Sob 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 sob. Yan Bingqing let out a hysterical roar, releasing all the haze in her heart. Yun Tianyu slowly walked to her and sized her up with a cold gaze. I'm not the one who banned you. I'm only here to take back what you owe my mommy. Yan Bingqing was stunned. A total of 16 slaps. Not one less. Your mommy. Yan Bingqing pondered for a moment. Her eyes widened in shock. This child. Chapter 796. In the middle of the night, Mo Yan suddenly received a call from Yan Bingqing. When he saw the caller ID on the screen, he felt inexplicably irritated. He did not know what she was up to this time. Recently, because of Yan Bingqing, half of his hair had turned white. Now that Yan Bingqing was ruined, his career was also ruined. His interests were tied to Yan Bingqing's. They were bound together for good or ill. Now that Yan Bingqing had fallen, he was also banned by Huanyu. It was completely over. It was when he had a splitting headache. Just as he was about to sleep, he was woken up by her call. Full of anger, he picked up the call. Just as he was about to flare up, he heard Yan Bingqing's painful voice from the other end. Mo Yan, save me. Mo Yan sat up in bed in shock. What's wrong? Mo Yan, I think I have a miscarriage. He was so shocked that he was suffocating. He hurriedly hailed a taxi. When he arrived, he saw Yan Bingqing lying weakly in the flower bed. Her lower body was stained with blood, and her blood-stained hand was holding her phone tightly. Her face was lifeless, like a withered flower. Mo Yan walked to her side and looked at her blood-stained skirt in shock. His eyes were full of shock and helplessness. Bingqing, what's wrong? When Mo Yan's gaze landed on her face, he was shocked again. Yan Bingqing's face was swollen from the slap. There was a bloody cut at the corner of her lips, and blood kept oozing out. It was extremely horrifying. He had never seen Yan Bingqing in such a sorry state. Her originally stunning face was no longer lively, and she looked sickly and pale. Your face was hit by someone? Mo Yan, it hurts, my stomach hurts. Yan Bingqing held her stomach and said in a broken voice, Ugh, send me to the hospital. Mo Yan, I think I have a miscarriage. Miscarriage? You're pregnant. Mo Yan's eyes widened in shock, but he did not have time to care so much. He picked her up horizontally and ran to the side of the road. Yan Bingqing said with a pale face, I don't know. I'm pregnant, but I haven't come for 3 months. I might be pregnant. Pregnant. Yan Bingqing, you're really... Mo Yan was so angry that he was speechless. Didn't he tell her to take precautions? Why was she pregnant at such a critical moment? The problem was, she had so many men, and she had to deal with 3 of them. Did she know who the father of this child was? Mo, what should I do? Now that I'm like this, I might as well just die. Yan Bingqing was completely disheartened. Her current appearance made her wish she was dead. Her hatred for Xianxia had seeped deep into her bones. If she could, she wanted to perish together with her. Mo Yan, what should I do? What should I do? Shut up. Mo Yan said irritably, It's fine if you humiliate yourself, But you even implicated me. Yan Bingqing, who can you blame for being in this state? Didn't I warn you not to be too ostentatious in the entertainment industry and to be careful with your words and actions? But you offended people everywhere, and you even offended Mu Yaja. What do you want me to do? Yan Bingqing sobbed, breaking down and crying. She was in a sorry state. Mo Yen hailed a taxi and hurriedly carried her into it. Chapter 797. Why is it covered in blood? Let's get this straight. If you dirty the back seat, you'll have to pay for the car wash. Mo Yen said angrily, you'll get what you deserve. Go to the hospital first. Your life is more important. Sigh. It's the middle of the night. How unlucky to have picked you two up. The driver muttered unhappily. If not for the fact that he would be reported for refusing to pick them up, he would have chased them out of the car. He was unlucky. Mo Yen was so angry that his face turned green. Now that they were in dire straits, even a lowly driver dared to look down on them. The taxi dropped them off at the hospital. Mo Yen threw a 100 yuan note and hurriedly carried Yan Bingqing to the emergency room. Yan Bingqing had already fainted. The doctor also recognized Yan Bingqing and did a simple checkup for her. With a cold face he said, the patient has miscarried and the child can't be saved. She needs a curettage operation. Are you her family member? No. The operation needs a family member's signature. Her family members are not in the capital. How can they sign it? Let me do it. Mo Yen signed. Before entering the emergency room, Yan Bingqing suddenly woke up. She found out from Mo Yen that she was indeed pregnant, but the child could not be kept and needed a curettage operation. She immediately grabbed his clothes tightly. Mo Yen was stunned and asked unhappily, what's wrong now, my dear lady? Call Yang Shouqing and tell him that I'm pregnant with his child. Yan Bingqing said word by word. Mo Yen was shocked. His mind turned 1,000 times, but he quickly understood the meaning of her words and immediately called Yang Shouqing. Yang Shouqing was negotiating a business deal at a private club when he received Mo Yan's call. He was shocked to learn that Yan Bingqing was pregnant and had an accidental miscarriage. When he learned that Yan Bingqing was pregnant with his child, Old Master Yang was even more shocked and immediately rushed to the hospital. When Yang Shouqing was young, he was also a playboy who played with many female stars. Yan Bingqing was just one of the many mistresses he kept. However, Yang Shouqing was deeply attached to Yan Bingqing. He doted on her and used all the resources he had on her. The reason why Yan Bingqing was able to become Huanyu's #1 sister was all because of him. Without Yang Shouqing, Yan Bingqing was nothing. The reason why Yang Shouqing liked Yan Bingqing so much was because of her beauty, which completely catered to his taste. Looking at the entertainment industry, there were very few who could compete with Yan Bingqing in terms of beauty. Not long after Yan Bingqing debuted, he had been her sugar daddy. In the end, he actually developed feelings for Yan Bingqing. Hence, Yang Shouqing did not hesitate to throw a lot of resources on her to make her famous. Now when he learned that Yan Bingqing was pregnant with his child, Yang Shouqing was happy. He had no children in his life, only 2 daughters. After his first wife passed away, he did not remarry. When he learned that Yan Bingqing was pregnant with his child and had an accidental miscarriage, he lost his mind and rushed to the hospital immediately. Yan Bingqing had just finished a curettage operation and was pushed into the ward when Yang Shouqing rushed over. He learned from the doctor that Yan Bingqing was pregnant with a boy. Unfortunately, she could not save the child and had a miscarriage. Yang Shouqing was even more devastated. When Yan Bingqing woke up, she saw Yang Shouqing guarding her bed. Seeing that she was awake, he looked anxious. Bingqing, are you feeling better? Brother Cheng. I'm sorry. I couldn't save your child. Yan Bingqing burst into tears. Chapter 798. Yang Shouqing felt as if a knife was being twisted in his heart. You just had an operation. Don't be so agitated. Don't cry. Seeing the pain and helplessness on his face, Yan Bingqing was even more certain that Yang Shouqing was the only person she could cling on to at this moment. Therefore she immediately put on a pained expression and cried, Brother Cheng, I didn't know I was pregnant. If I knew I was pregnant with your child, I would have been very, very careful. But, what should I do? The baby has been miscarried. Brother Cheng, our child is gone. Sob, sob, sob. If it hadn't been miscarried, I would have thought of quitting the entertainment industry, giving birth to the child, and raising it well. I heard from the doctor that the child has already taken shape. It's a boy. Yan Bingqing was weeping so hard that her beautiful and haggard face was extremely pale. However, what she said tugged at his heartstrings. How could Yang Shouqing bear to see her in such a miserable state? He couldn't help but hug her and hold her in his arms. His rough hands kept stroking her back gently. When he heard that she was willing to give birth to the child, raise it, and even quit the entertainment industry for his sake, Yang Shouqing's heart was even more touched. He felt even more heartache for her. Mo Yen, who was standing by the side, was expressionless. However, he snorted in his heart. Sometimes, people were really strange things. Especially this Yan Bingqing. When she was filming, she was expressionless and had no acting skills to speak of. However, at this moment, she was acting quite well. She even said that she would quit the entertainment industry for the sake of giving birth to her child with Yang Shouqing. Was that possible? Yan Bingqing valued fame and fortune so much. If not for the fact that she was in dire straits now, she might have secretly aborted the child. Moreover, if she said that the child was Yang Shouqing's, was it really Yang Shouqing's? Only Yang Shouqing, who doted on and trusted Yan Bingqing unconditionally, would believe her. The reason why Yan Bingqing said these words now was nothing more than to cater to Yang Shouqing's fancy and place all her last hopes on him. However, only Yan Bingqing could do such a thing and play such a trick. Yang Shouqing really fell for it. He asked with concern, "I've been in Hong Kong for the past few days and only returned to the mainland a few days ago. I heard that you offended the higher-ups of Huanyu and were banned. I couldn't find you. What happened? Brother Chang, I feel so bitter in my heart." Yan Bingqing broke down and cried. When Yang Shouqing saw her crying miserably, he hurriedly asked a few questions. Only then did Yan Bingqing tell him the truth. She told him the whole story from beginning to end. It was said that when she was filming, there was a scene where she wasn't in the right state of mind and couldn't get into character. That scene was red-hot a few times and she slapped a newbie actor more than 10 times. There were a few times when she didn't control her strength and slapped too hard. In the end, she did not expect that the newbie was backed by the crown prince of Dishing, Mu Yaja. After offending Mu Yaja, he was blacklisted. But it's fine if he blacklisted me. I'm already so down and out, but this Yun Shirshir won't let me off at all. She actually asked someone to come to my door and slap me back 16 times. Chapter 799. When Yang Shouqing heard this, he felt as if a knife had been twisted in his heart. His hands trembled as he pulled her into his embrace. "Bingqing, it's been hard on you." Mo Yen glanced at her expressionlessly from the corner of his eyes. Her acting skills were top-notch. In fact, Yu was very clear about her debts of gratitude and grudges in this matter. She left after giving 16 slaps, not one more, not one less. At that time, Yan Bingqing did not even know that she was pregnant, so there was no such thing as punching and kicking. Yan Bingqing had always been good at stirring up trouble. On this point, Mo Yen was very impressed. "Brother Cheng, what should I do? Now that I'm in this state because of that woman, is my life completely ruined?" Yan Bingqing cried as she said, "That woman is really ruthless. Even if I've done something wrong, she doesn't have to be so ruthless, right? To ban me to this state, what kind of mistake have I made? I've already sincerely apologized, but she forced me to this point. Not to mention the entertainment industry, I can't even survive in the mainland. My life is over. It's over. This Mu Yaja is too ruthless." Yang Shouqing nodded, his face sullen. However, this was the tricky part. In the huge capital, Yang Shouqing was not afraid of anything, but he did not dare to offend the Mu and Gu families. One was Mu Yaja, and the other was Gu Jinglian. Both of them were ruthless characters. They were young, but frivolous, young, but ruthless. Each of them was more ruthless than the other. Especially Mu Yaja, who was even more ruthless than Gu Jinglian. At least in the mainland market, Yang Shouqing had no right to speak in front of Mu Yaja. If not for Mu Yaja, this matter would have been easily settled if he had stepped in. In the capital, especially in the entertainment industry, Mu Yaja had the final say in everything. Yan Bingqing offended him and was undoubtedly seeking his own death. Seeing the complicated expression on Yang Shouqing's face, Yan Bingqing felt even more uneasy. She probed, Big Brother Cheng, what should I do? In my current state, no one is willing to offend Mu Yaja for me. What kind of character was he? I used to think that he was a powerful figure, but I never thought that he could manipulate the entertainment industry with just a few words. Who exactly is he? Yan Bingqing had rarely heard about Mu Yaja in the industry. She only knew that he was the most important person in Dishing Financial Group. Therefore, as the controlling shareholder of Huanyu Entertainment, one word from him could turn the entertainment industry upside down. Yang Shouqing looked a little troubled. Bingqing, it's not that I don't want to stand up for you. It's just as you said, this Mu Yaja is a powerful figure. I don't dare to offend him. Hearing what he said, Yan Bingqing's heart thumped. Then, her face turned ashen and she fell into endless despair. If even Yang Shouqing did not dare to offend him, he must be really powerful. Big Brother Cheng, if even you say that, I'm really done for. Chapter 800. Brother Yang, all my overseas movie contracts have been cancelled, Yan Bingqing said sadly. Yang Shouqing was slightly surprised. What happened? This matter has spread overseas. I heard that several international brands have good relations with Huanyu. The few movies that I signed contracts with before were all resources that Huanyu had fought for. Although they were only supporting roles, they could be plated with a layer of gold in Hollywood and solidify my position. But after this incident, those movie contracts have been cancelled. Is that so? Yang Shouqing muttered to himself for a while and said slowly, those are Huanyu's resources. You've offended Huanyu, so those movies are cancelled. I still have some resources that I can fight for you. There's a movie that's going to start shooting in Hollywood next year. I'll help you contact people and arrange for it. Really? Yan Bingqing was wild with joy as if she had seen a ray of hope in a hopeless situation. When have I ever lied to you? Yang Shouqing comforted her and patted the back of her hand. Now that things have come to this, whether you want to film or not is another matter. Right now, the most important thing is to recover your body. Yan Bingqing nodded heavily. Yang Shouqing thought for a moment and said, how about this? I'll arrange for you to go to Hong Kong to lie low for a while and recover your body first. If there's anything else, wait until you're better. Okay, Brother Yang, I'll listen to you. Yan Bingqing looked wronged as she nestled in his arms like a little bird. Yang Shouqing patted her back that was trembling because of her sobbing and suddenly asked curiously, so, this matter is all because of that newcomer? Yeah. Who's that newcomer? She's quite famous. Yang Shouqing asked. Yan Bingqing's face immediately raised with a sinister expression. She gritted her teeth and said, that woman's name is Xianxia. I feel like she has quite a background. Xianxia? Yang Shouqing came to a sudden realization. Who exactly was this woman? His old face suddenly twitched. He looked down at his 3 severed fingers and recalled Gu Xingzi's cold words. I'm warning you, don't even think about touching Xianxia. Xianxia, that woman? The woman who caused him to lose 3 of his fingers. This Xianxia had quite the background. However, women in the entertainment industry would only gain power for a short while. Wait until she falls. See how he's going to kill her. Yang Shouqing thought angrily and said to Yan Bingqing, enough. I know. Don't worry. I won't let this woman off so easily. I'll definitely get justice for you. When Yan Bingqing heard this, she was overjoyed and cried out in surprise. Brother Cheng, you really love me. I love you. Yan Bingqing kissed his lips. Yang Shouqing hugged the back of her neck tightly and deepened the kiss. Mo Yen sensibly retreated and shook his head at the same time. When Xianxia returned to the set, she found that Yan Bingqing was missing. She was confused and really thought that Mu Yaja had kicked Yan Bingqing out of the production team. Mu Shi also rushed to the set. When she saw her, she immediately leaned in front of her and scrutinized her face with her bright eyes. Xianxia was baffled by her actions and asked, why do you keep staring at me? It's fine, it's fine. The wound on your face has healed. Chapter 801. Xianxia was perplexed. What did Qin Zhou scold you about? It's my fault for not taking good care of you and letting you suffer in the production team. She blamed herself. It's all in the past. Besides, why should I blame you? This matter has nothing to do with you. She was moved to tears. Xianxia, you're so nice. You're always so considerate of me. Xianxia patted her head. All right. Aren't I all better now? Yes, yes. She quickly nodded and wiped away her tears. That Yan Bingqing deserves to be blacklisted. She bullied you. She got what she deserved. Blacklisted? Xianxia was stunned. Yes. Yan Bingqing has been blacklisted. The production team has removed her name from the cast. Her assistant looked at her strangely. You don't know about this? Xianxia shook her head blankly. I don't know. She's been blacklisted? Yes. Huan Yu's higher-ups gave the order and created a lot of articles to slander her online. Not only did the production team kick her out, but they also terminated all her endorsements and movie contracts. Her reputation is so bad that it's even overseas. Anyway, she has no chance to make a comeback. Sure. Isn't this considered as a blessing in disguise? After she was removed from the production team, the director was so happy that he didn't give her any attitude these past few days. Xianxia frowned slightly. I'm not in the country these past few days, so I don't know about this. Her assistant asked. That's right. Where have you been these past few days? We lost contact for a few days, and Mr. Qin Zhou kept talking about you. Oh, I went on vacation to recuperate. Sigh. What a pity. You missed the biggest show of the year. You didn't see how Yan Bingqing was torn apart those few nights. She's so pitiful. Even I pity her. Still, a pitiful person must have something hateful about her. She deserves it. Her assistant said indignantly. I still think that it's not thorough enough. You should let her apologize to you in public. Only then can you vent your anger. Hearing what she said, Xianxia suddenly realized that she seemed to have been tricked by Mu Yaja. Banning Yan Bingqing? Needless to say, this was definitely Mu Yaja's doing. He was the only one who could turn the entertainment industry upside down. Did he ban Yan Bingqing a long time ago? That day, she had been kept in the dark from the beginning to the end. She had even begged him to remove Yan Bingqing from the list. He even shamelessly offered such a condition. She actually fell for it. Damn it, how could this Mu Yaja be so black-bellied? Xianxia blushed. Then, Yan Bingqing has been removed from the cast. Who will play her role? Mu Shi opened her mouth and was about to answer when a voice sounded behind her. Xianxia. She turned around and saw a beautifully dressed woman with exquisite makeup slowly walking toward her. She was a little surprised. While she was in a daze, the woman was already in front of her. With a smile, she extended her hand to her. Hello, I'm Lu Jingtian. You can call me Jingtian. Lu Jingtian? This face seems a little familiar. However, she really could not remember where she had seen it before. Xianxia shook her outstretched hand. Hello, I'm Jingtian. I've just joined the cast to play Lin Hina. I'll be in your care in the future. Lu Jingtian smiled sweetly with a friendly look in her eyes. Mu Shi suddenly stood at the side, not daring to speak. Chapter 802. Hee. You're really interesting. Lu Jingtian chuckled, but then she suddenly blurted out something that made no sense. With that, she turned around and left. Xianxia was even more confused. What a weirdo. Mu Shi, this Lu Jingtian's words are quite strange. She gave off a feeling of superiority and arrogance. She was like a rich missy from the upper class, yet she pretended to be calm, which made it seem very deliberate. Mu Shi's expression changed, and she hurriedly pulled her to the side. Shusha, don't spout nonsense. This Lu Jingtian's background is not to be trifled with. I feel that the actors in the production team, even if they're just supporting roles, are not to be trifled with, Xianxia quietly said. Mu Shi's lips twitched as she silently retorted, Yes, you're the one with the biggest background. Anyway, everyone's background is not to be trifled with. Mu Shi continued, This Lu Jingtian's father is a senior executive of Huan Yu and the biggest shareholder on the board of directors. So impressive. Xianxia furrowed her brows. I feel that she looks quite familiar, as if I've seen her somewhere before, but I can't recall where. How can that be? Although she's signed under Huan Yu, she hasn't officially debuted yet. She has indeed acted in a few movies, but they're all supporting roles. Moreover, the movies haven't been released yet, Mu Shi said. Xianxia asked, That's strange. Why are they all supporting roles? Isn't her father a senior executive of Huan Yu? Isn't it easy for him to invest in a movie to promote his daughter? She rolled her eyes. Even if she's his biological daughter, he can't be so reckless. Nowadays, investing in a movie can easily cost hundreds of millions. Her father does have the ability to set up an acting troupe for her, but the box office will definitely flop. If the box office flops, hundreds of millions of investment will go down the drain. Who would be willing to take the risk? It's fine if the box office flops, but what if the movie's reputation flops as well? Can you hear the sound of money being thrown into the water? If you throw it at her, it'll be a one-way trip. Xianxia nodded. So, Huan Yu's strategy for her is to let her act in some supporting roles to gain some popularity. Then, when the movie is released, we can use the team to hype it up and package it. Then her fame will come. Hype. What do you think? Creating hype was a shortcut to fame. Before you even debuted, Huan Yu was already hyping you up. Even now, the official Weibo account of The Green Apple is also hyping you up. Your fans on Weibo have almost exceeded 10 million. This is the effect of hype. She was about to vomit blood. This Xianxia was simply the best artiste she had ever managed. Other artistes only cared about how to increase their fame, but she only cared about how to act well. One had to know that she was now in a gold medal production team. Everything was in her favor. It could be said that it was the best time to create hype. Her reputation online couldn't be any better. Many people were very supportive of her role as Yin Xiaochuan, and were willing to support her. What's more, everyone in the crew was a topic of conversation. Yang Mi, Li Zhouxian, and Gu Xingze. Which one of them wasn't the hottest idol in the world? Even if she uploaded a selfie with Gu Xingze on Weibo, it would still be a hot topic and gain popularity. However, this Xianxia, let alone creating hype, only updated her Weibo once every few days, and it had nothing to do with filming. Chapter 803. It was no wonder that Yan Bingqing hated her. She did not know how to make use of the resources she had. How are we going to hype her up? Xianxia was curious about how Huan Yu was going to promote her. I heard that Huan Yu wanted to use Gu Xingze's fame to hype her up, but Gu Xingze didn't agree to it. Why didn't he agree to it? Gu Xingze's fame was at its peak. As long as he used Lu Jingtian to gain some popularity, she would become famous. Do you think everyone is like you? Back then, Huan Yu used Gu Xingze to hype you up, and Gu Xingze was actually willing to cooperate. Xingze is really strange. He's willing to use his fame to promote you, but not Lu Jingtian. I don't understand him. Her assistant had a strange look on her face. Xianxia was stunned. When she had just debuted, Huan Yu had used Gu Xingze's popularity to promote her. The outside world had speculated that she and Gu Xingze had a close relationship, and they were even rumored to be lovers. Hence, at the movie's opening ceremony, the reporter's series of questions about this issue caught her off guard. Xingze has never liked being hyped up. Sure, you may be the only exception. In order to promote Lu Jingtian, Huan Yu threatened and enticed him. They even offered him 0.1% of their shares, but he didn't agree. It said that Huan Yu had originally planned a script to promote Lu Jingtian as Gu Xingze's rumored girlfriend, but Gu Xingze refused and didn't give them any leeway. Her assistant continued, at Huan Yu's annual gala, Huan Yu had originally arranged a female companion for Xingze, and that was Lu Jingtian. In the end, Gu Xingze invited you to be his female companion. Only Gu Xingze would dare to do so. Huan Yu didn't dare to do anything to him. After all, Xingze is now one of Huan Yu's shareholders. With his status, Huan Yu wouldn't dare to act rashly if he didn't agree. Xianxia was stunned. At that gala, Xingze's female companion was originally Lu Jingtian? Yes. Xingze had initially agreed to it, but he ended up inviting her instead. Lu Jingtian was almost angered to death when he suddenly kicked her out. In a hurry, she had no choice but to rush to the gala alone. The topic is gone, and so is the buzz. That day, you were in the limelight as Gu Xingze's female companion. Don't be fooled by her courteous attitude toward you earlier. Who knows if she hates you deep down? Thank you for reminding me. Xianxia was halfway through her words when she suddenly realized something. It suddenly dawned on her why she found the other woman so familiar when she saw her earlier. At the mention of the gala, she recalled that Lu Jingtian was the woman who had tried to trip her up at the gala. He did not recognize her because her makeup was different from the day of the gala. On the day of the banquet, she was dressed extravagantly and wore heavy makeup. Today's makeup was more plain, so he couldn't recognize her immediately. Xianxia silently complained in her heart. This level of makeup was not much different from plastic surgery. It was no wonder she couldn't recognize her. It was as if she had changed her face. Makeup was indeed one of the sorcery. It could change a woman's appearance completely. Looking at Lu Jingtian now, she was no longer as stunning as she had been at the gala. Her facial features were neither beautiful nor exquisite, and neither did they stand out. She wondered what she looked like without her makeup. Xianxia carefully thought about it. It was no wonder that Lu Jingtian looked at her as if she had seen her enemy that day. It turned out that she had snatched her resources. Chapter 804. Thinking back on the smile that Lu Jingtian had given her earlier, she felt that it was really hypocritical. I haven't been in the industry for long, yet I've already made a lot of enemies. Am I that unpopular? Xianxia asked self-deprecatingly. Her assistant smiled. Sure, you have to adjust your mentality. Having a lot of enemies only means that you're popular. People are jealous of you, so they target you. If you're unknown and not famous, who will take you seriously? Those who see you as a thorn in their flesh are all jealous of your resources. You can be considered a clear stream in the industry. Xianxia was stunned. This industry is really complicated. It is. Her assistant said. How many true friends do you think there are in this industry? The industry is so big, and there are only so many resources. Many of them are sneaky people who are fighting for fame and fortune. You must be more careful in the future. Even if you have a strong background, sometimes, you'll be in trouble if those people catch a little pain and use public opinion to attack you. Water can carry a boat, but it can also capsize it. You must maintain your image in front of your fans. Her assistant's advice was very pertinent. Xianxia heard it in her heart and smiled. Thank you, Mushi. Sigh, Shusha, you really don't know how lucky you are. If you don't have Huan Yu supporting you, how can a newbie like you win against Yan Bingqing? Xianxia said sincerely, to be honest, I don't have much ambition. Acting is just a hobby of mine. I've never thought of fighting for fame and fortune. It's just because I like it. I just see acting as an ordinary job and a way of life. Isn't it a little inconsiderate of you to meet someone like me who has no ambition? It's quite inconsiderate, her assistant said truthfully, hitting her sore spot. Xianxia's lips twitched. Do you have to be so blunt? Her assistant smiled. To be honest, if these words came out of someone else's mouth, it would sound very pretentious and pompous. Which person who entered this industry did not come for fame and fortune? Even if it was by accident at the beginning, after entering this circle and being influenced by others, it was difficult for him to maintain his original heart. However, when it came from Xianxia's mouth, it sounded very pure. If many artists had such unique resources like hers, they would have used all means to create hype. But Xianxia really treated acting as a job. But this circle is not an ordinary one. You have to be careful. Over the next few days, after Lu Jingtian joined the production team, her main task was to catch up on Yan Bingqing's scenes. Previously, Yan Bingqing acted as Lin Hana's character. After that incident, Yan Bingqing was banned and removed from the cast. Those scenes had to be res-hot. There were many scenes where Xianxia and Lin Hana had to be filmed together. Lin Fengtian kept the close-up shots of Xianxia, but the other scenes had to be res-hot. It had only been a few days since Lu Jingtian joined the production team. In the past, the production team had always been careful around this young missy, who was born in Huan Yu's top management. Lu Jingtian was famous for her temper, which was not much better than Yan Bingqing's. In the past, when she was filming in another production team, she would often vent her anger on the production team whenever she had a disagreement. Her temper was notoriously bad. Chapter 805. From the start to the end, the gentle and friendly side she displayed in front of the production team took everyone by surprise. What was also surprising was that she did not find trouble with Xianxia and got along well with everyone in the production team. When it came to the basement scene, Lu Jingtian did not make things difficult for Xianxia like Yan Bingqing did. Instead, she did her homework in advance. Her gaze, positioning, lines, and expressions were all done in one go. For the slap scene, she used Meng Qiqi's technique and did not insist on using real weapons like Yan Bingqing did. Hence, She passed the scene with just 3 NGs. The result was very good, and Lin Fengtian was very satisfied. Mu Shi was shocked. It was said that a dog could not change its habit of eating feces. Lu Jingtian's personality had changed drastically. She was no longer as arrogant and unreasonable as before. It was as if she had become a completely different person. Mu Shi was taken aback and found it hard to believe. However, Xianxia was naturally happy to be able to get along with her peacefully. Ever since Yan Bingqing's incident, those in the production team who had offended Xianxia in the past had sincerely apologized to her. This included Yang Mi, who had changed her attitude toward her and was intentionally or unintentionally close to her. After getting along with her, Xianxia felt that Yang Mi was a decent person. Although she was a little shrewd and scheming, she was not like Yan Bingqing, who had so many thorns that it hurt. Yang Mi had debuted for almost 10 years. She had acted in a drama when she was young and officially entered the entertainment industry at the age of 17. In terms of qualifications, she was also a senior. Xianxia had always been humble toward her. Yang Mi had also completely changed her opinion of her. Initially, she was a little annoyed with Xianxia, thinking that this newbie must have used dirty means to obtain so many resources when she had just debuted. However, after getting along with her, she admired Xianxia's true nature and turned her enemy into a friend. Sometimes, she would even upload selfies with Xianxia on Weibo. Xianxia also learned how to use Weibo and often interacted with the other actors in the production team. However, the only thing that troubled Xianxia was Gu Xingzi's indifference towards her. One day, the weather was hot, so she specially bought water to distribute to the crew. Gu Xingzi had just finished filming and was about to enter the waiting room. Xianxia saw him and handed him a bottle of water. However, Gu Xingzi acted as if she was invisible and brushed past her without even looking at her. While Xianxia was still in a daze, he walked into the lounge and closed the door, leaving her outside. What had happened to make him so estranged from her? Could it be because of what happened that day? Xianxia inevitably felt down. In her heart, Gu Xingzi was undoubtedly a senior worthy of respect. He had helped her a lot, but now, he was like a stranger to her. She could not help but feel disappointed. Mu Shi saw it all too. She too could not understand how the superstar and Xianxia seemed to have been separated by a vast expanse of wilderness overnight. They were like strangers, no different from strangers. They used to be very close. She still remembered that Gu Xingzi was even willing to arrange Qin Zhou, his trump card, for Xianxia's sake. Back then, Qin Zhou became Xianxia's manager because Gu Xingzi added fuel to the fire. Why was their relationship so strained now? What in the world had happened? Mu Shi was worried, but she did not dare to ask. Chapter 806. Xianxia had a feeling that Gu Xingzi was avoiding her on purpose. But she could not figure out what Gu Xingzi was thinking. After all, they were on the same set and they would see each other often. His cold attitude towards her undoubtedly made her feel uneasy. It was probably because she was bothering him. Xianxia thought for a while and smiled mockingly. She had no choice but to turn around and leave. In the waiting room, Gu Xingzi leaned against the door and listened to Xianxia's footsteps as she walked away slowly. A trace of pain and loneliness appeared on his originally cold face. He did not want to deliberately give her the cold shoulder. It was because he knew that if he did not control his feelings for her, once he lost control, it would be out of control. It was not that he was a coward and did not dare to fight for her, but that he might not even have the right to fight for her. The person in Xianxia's heart was not him, was it? Then, his love would only become a burden and hurt her. Maintaining distance and estrangement was the only way. This was the first time in his life that he had feelings for a woman, but it was probably going to end in vain. He slowly sat down on the sofa and let his body sink into it. He casually picked up a bottle of mineral water, opened it and took a few sips. Suddenly, he was upset and raised his hand to throw the bottle of mineral water at the makeup mirror. Crack, crack, crack. Cracks appeared on the huge mirror. The table was in a mess. When the assistant Rua Bing walked in, the whole waiting room was in a mess. All the makeup tools were scattered on the floor and the mineral water bottle was lying on the table. Water kept dripping onto the floor. She was shocked and looked around. Soon, she saw a person huddled up in the corner. Gu Xingzi was rubbing his hair and his face was buried in the shadows. His hair covered his forehead and his expression could not be seen clearly. However, he looked lifeless. Ruobing was shocked. She had never seen Gu Xingze show such a weak and helpless expression on his face. It was as if he was an orphan abandoned by the whole world. She walked over and carefully put her hand on his shoulder. Gu Xingze did not move. He just sat quietly in the corner and did not move at all. Even the rise and fall of his breath was so weak. "Xingze, what's wrong?" Ruobing asked softly with a concerned expression. Gu Xingze did not speak and only turned his body slightly. Ruobing's hand fell from his shoulder. She looked up at the room and the messy dressing table and shook her head slightly. She said softly, "Xingze, I'll clean this place up first." "Well, if there's anything you're unhappy about, you can tell me." Gu Xingze remained silent and did not say a word. Ruobing began to clean up. She cleaned the water stains on the floor and tidied up the bottles on the dressing table. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a cigarette lighter behind her. Her face froze for a moment. She turned around and saw that he had lit a cigarette. She was shocked. When did he start? He did not have the habit of smoking in the past. After recovering from her shock, Ruobing quickly walked over and took the cigarette between his fingers. She stepped on it and put it out on the ground. Gu Xingze raised his head slightly. His eyes were covered by his fringe and revealed a cold gaze. Ruobing was slightly shocked by him, but she still mustered up her courage and asked, "Xingze, why did you suddenly start smoking?" Chapter 807. You can't smoke anymore. You still have to record an album tomorrow and record a demo for the movie theme song. Your throat will be damaged if you continue like this. Gu Xingze glanced at her coldly, but quietly took out another cigarette from the cigarette box, lit it again, and took a deep puff. The flickering sparks were weak, but they lit up his cold eyes. Ruobing could not do anything to him. She squatted down and said patiently, "Xingze, is there something bothering you? You can talk to me. There's no need to make things difficult for your body." Gu Xingze remained silent, ignoring her as if she were air. Ruobing looked embarrassed, but she could not do anything to him. She had been by Gu Xingze's side for a few years. She knew very little about Gu Xingze. She only knew that he was an extremely sentimental person. Other celebrities changed their assistants again and again, but he never changed. From the beginning to the end, it was still the two assistants who had been by his side since his debut. He would keep the things he loved by his side, no matter how old they were. He was the nation's top idol, a superstar of his generation, and an insulator against gossip. So many female celebrities flocked to him, but he was all alone from the beginning to the end. Other than that, she did not know anything else about him. Perhaps, no one had ever been able to enter his heart. When Gu Xingze was studying abroad at the age of 15, he was spotted by a talent scout and was recommended to Huanyu. He officially signed a contract, starred in his first movie, and released his first album. He was famous. Until then, his career had been smooth sailing. But on the surface, aside from the limelight, Gu Xingze only gave people a feeling. Lonely. Lonely. Yes. Lonely. Other than Qin Zhou, there was probably no one who could really get close to him. It probably had something to do with his childhood. It was said that he was the illegitimate son of the Gu family in the capital. When he was young, his mother died early. At a very young age, he was exiled by the Gu family to a foreign country and lived alone. Until he met Qin Zhou at the age of 15. In Ruobing's eyes, he had always been cold, like a high and mighty prince who was difficult to get close to. However, this was also the first time she had seen him lose control like this. For a moment, she couldn't do anything to him. "Xingze, you still have a scene in the afternoon. Are you okay in this state?" "No." He finally opened his mouth. Ruobing finally calmed down. "That's great. Adjust your condition and rest early." With a cigarette in his mouth, he lowered his gaze. Right now, acting was the best way for him to vent his emotions. Sometimes, he really wished that time would stop. She lived her entire life in the drama. At least in the movie, he could hold her hand, hug her and kiss her. However, he had revealed his true feelings and was too immersed in the role. She was really just acting. There were two scenes in the afternoon. One was a scene between Lu Jingtian and Jun Mo. The other scene was between Gu Xingze and Yun Shishir. These two scenes were very important in the book. Jun Mo did not appear much in this movie, but every time she appeared, there was an important plot. She had just stepped into the film industry and was not good at acting, so she put in a lot of effort into the script. She also often looked for Xianxia to practice with her lines. She worked very hard to memorize the lines of a scene several times. Chapter 808. After Xianxia returned to the country, she had another emotional entanglement with Dongyu. Because Xianxia was hospitalized for pneumonia, Dongyu was absent from his engagement with Lin Hina. Lin Hina flew into a rage out of humiliation and went to the hospital where Xianxia was. She wanted to denounce Xianxia, but she met Su Qi, who was blocking the door of the ward. The two had an argument. It was also a tear-jerking scene in the movie. Lin Hina angrily questioned Su Qi. Are you just going to watch the woman you love throw herself into someone else's arms? Do you really love her? From what I see, your so-called love is nothing more than lip service. Are you really willing? Giving away the woman you love so much to someone else? Su Qi calmly said, I love her, so I'll give her the greatest freedom. For this scene, Jun Mo had specially rehearsed it with Xianxia many times. As a result, Xianxia almost memorized the script by heart. She had put in a lot of effort, so when it came time to act, Jun Mo's performance was very good. She was full of emotions, her lines were affectionate, and every expression on her face was well managed. Especially at close range, the tension in Jun Mo's eyes gave people goosebumps. On the other hand, Lu Jingtian was in the right state, but her expression paled in comparison to Jun Mo's. Especially that line, Su Qi, you're such a coward for pushing the woman you love to someone else. She laughed several times. Lin Fengtian's face was about to turn green with anger as he scolded her. Lu Jingtian was almost in tears from the scolding. She ran back to the lounge with reddened eyes and finally adjusted her state of mind. However, when it came time to act, her emotions were still not in place. She had NGs again and again. Lin Fengtian was so angry that he scolded her again. She really wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Lin Fengtian was so angry that he pointed at her and scolded her in front of everyone. Lu Jingtian, I really can't be bothered to scold you. A minute, what kind of bullsh*T are you acting? Do you think you're acting very well? Why don't you take a look at what you're acting as? Also, go back and look in the mirror and see what makeup you're wearing. It's so thick. Are you acting as a delinquent? Don't look at the script when you go back. Take a look at the self-cultivation of an actor. You want to be famous? Bah! Wishful thinking. It would be faster to go back and buy a pillow to dream. Do you think you can become famous just because you look better in Korea? Your acting skills are so bad. Do you believe that I'll cut you into a passerby? Lin Fengtian was the infamous demon Scissorhands. When everyone present heard Lin Fengtian scolding Lu Jingtian, they wanted to laugh but did not dare to do so, so they could only hold it in. Especially Jun Mo, she was about to suffer internal injuries from holding it in. Xianxia, however, could not help bursting into laughter. She immediately held back her laughter and tugged at the corner of her shirt. Stop laughing, Xianxia. Sure enough, Lu Jingtian, who was already feeling aggrieved after being scolded by Lin Fengtian, shot Xianxia a sinister look. Lin Fengtian scolded her furiously when he saw her getting distracted. Where are you looking at? You're not serious about acting and you're distracted even after being scolded? Lu Jingtian shuddered at the scolding. She wanted to cry, but she wanted to save face, so she forced herself not to cry. This Lin Fengtian was too ruthless in his insults. Her father was one of Huan Yu's higher-ups. Wasn't he afraid that she would go back and complain? Chapter 809. Get this straight, you're an actress, not a missy. Do you understand? I'm letting you in on account of your old man. That doesn't mean that I won't kick you out just because your old man is influential. If you don't act well, I'll still kick you out. With your performance, I can pick any of the extras in the group and they'll act better than you. What kind of performance is this? Xianxia, who was listening from the side, was utterly convinced by the director's scolding of Lu Jingtian. It was no wonder that the director was rumored to have a fiery temper and dared to speak his mind. It was rare to see a director like him nowadays. Jun Mo, who was listening from the side, was also frightened. This director's ability to scold others was not just for show. Seeing it with her own eyes, she was in awe. Among the directors nowadays, only he dared to scold an actress with a background. He announced an intermission, and the next scene would start at 7 p.m. It was a scene in the rain. The moment he left, Lu Jingtian covered her mouth and ran to the washroom. The moment she left, the extras burst into laughter. Yang Mi could not help covering her mouth and sniggering reservedly. Mu Shi, too, could not help laughing. Aya, this director is really beyond my expectations. His scolding made my liver tremble. I've never seen such a demonic side of him, either. That's you. I've seen it many times. He's restrained himself a lot now. In the past, when we were filming in his production team, we had to show 200% professionalism. Otherwise, we'd be asking for a scolding. Mu Shi laughed. Junemo said, Sure, it's your scene with Xianxia next. Do you want me to help you rehearse? Don't laugh at others now. When it's your turn, the director will scold you if you don't perform well. That's right. Don't be smug now. If you don't act well, the director will scold you too. There's no such thing as special treatment in front of the director. If you don't act well, you'll be scolded like Lu Jingtian just now. Yun Shishi's face revealed fear. You're making me panic. Junemo, you'd better rehearse your lines with me. Junemo ruffled her hair. Okay, little fool. Mu Shi, who was watching from the side, could not help but sigh. Junemo, your boyfriend power is so strong. I'm almost turned gay by you. Junemo raised her eyebrows. What do you mean? You're so handsome and gentle. I'm about to fall in love with you. Junemo blushed and was a little shy. Yun Shishi rebuked. Mu Shi, you're so naughty. You know that our Junemo gets shy easily, yet you still tease her like this. Haha. In the afternoon, an uninvited guest came to the set. Yun Shishi had just finished rehearsing with Junemo and went to buy a few boxes of water to distribute to the staff as usual. She had just returned to the set when she saw a familiar face. Xianxia. Yun Shishi was stunned. Why was she here? She saw Xianxia sitting beside Lu Jingtian, who seemed to have been crying for a long time. Xianxia gently patted her back as if to comfort her. The two seemed to have a good relationship. Could it be that they were friends? Xianxia was here to visit the set? Indeed, birds of a feather flocked together. This saying made some sense. Seeing Yun Shishi looking at Xianxia, Junemo looked over and recognized the latter at a glance. She was a little surprised to see Xianxia's gaze on Yun Shishi. Shishi, you know Xianxia? Chapter 8:10. Xianxia looked at Yun Shishi as well. Suddenly, she lowered her head and exchanged a few words with Lu Jingtian. She did not know what they were talking about, but the latter turned to look at her with a pair of eyes that revealed a hint of contempt. Yun Shishi held Junmo's arm and wanted to leave, but Xianxia walked over and blocked her path. Oh, I was wondering who it was. Turns out it's the shameless mistress. Xianxia whistled and looked at her with disdain. Lu Jingtian did not step forward, perhaps due to the fact that they were on set. With Yan Bingqing as an example, she did not dare to find trouble with Yun Shishi on set. Xianxia, on the other hand, did not need to be wary of anything. Yun Shishi glanced at her expressionlessly. She could not be bothered to talk nonsense with her and walked around her to leave. Xianxia took a step forward and blocked her path, not letting her go. What's wrong? Are you hiding from me? Are you feeling guilty? A tree needs its bark, and a man needs his face. Since you dare to be a third party, don't feel guilty. Do you still want your face after doing such a despicable thing? Xianxia's words were extremely provocative. It was clear that she wanted to settle old scores with Yun Shishi. Xianxia's voice was so loud and high-pitched that almost everyone on set could hear what she was saying. However, in the huge set, almost no one except Yang Mi knew her. As the mayor's daughter and a socialite in the upper-class society, Yang Mi naturally knew who she was. It was just that celebrities like Li Zhouxian, who had just debuted, naturally did not know who the mayor's daughter was. However, when they heard the words mistress and despicable business coming out of Xianxia's mouth, they could not help exchanging glances with each other. Mistress? Yun Shishi is a third party? Yang Mi frowned slightly. She did not know what was going on, but she knew that Xianxia was clearly looking for trouble with Yun Shishi. It can't be, right? Who's this woman? I don't know her, but she's so pretty. She's even prettier than Lu Jingtian. She doesn't look like a celebrity. Look at her noble aura and arrogant attitude. She looks like a rich missy. Yes. She's more elegant and beautiful than Lu Jingtian's. What does she mean by Yun Shishir being a mistress? Is Yun Shishir's a third party? How's that possible? I don't believe it. How can Shishir be a third party? Everyone could not help but whisper behind the scenes. Jun Mo, who was listening from the side, frowned. Just as she was about to step in, Yun Shishir reached out to stop her. She then met Song Enya's provocative gaze, but her face remained calm and collected. Miss Song, you're sick, and you're seriously sick. You, snots. She's eyes. Song Enya's eyes turned sharp. How dare you say that I'm crazy? What right do you have to talk to me like that? Oh my. You see, your princess syndrome is quite serious. It's terminal. Yun Shishir's lips curled into a mocking smile, neither servile nor overbearing. Yun Shishir, I didn't expect you to be so shameless. You seduced a married man and even broke into someone else's family. You're still not repenting. Chapter 8:11. She had a child out of wedlock. As soon as Song Enya finished speaking, there was an uproar on set. Everyone looked at Song Enya, then at Yun Shishir, and found it hard to believe. Yun Shishir had an illegitimate child? She was a third party. Such explosive news. It must be fake, right? Yun Shishir did not seem to be such an evil woman. However, this woman did not seem to be spouting nonsense either. Her words were clear and logical, and it did not seem like she was spouting nonsense. Could it be that Yun Shishir really had some unspeakable gossip? It was not impossible. As a newcomer, she was blessed with unique resources and was so popular. Before the movie was even released, her limelight had already overshadowed Gu Xingzi's Heavenly King halo. It was indeed unbelievable. Could it be that, like what this woman said, she had stepped into a rich family and hooked up with a mysterious sugar daddy? After being in the entertainment industry for a long time, one would understand that there was no such thing as a groundless rumor. For a moment, everyone was talking about it, and countless suspicious gazes fell on Yun Shishir. Yun Shishir's face was calm as she looked at her calmly. Jun Mo, however, could not stand it anymore and said angrily, Song Enya, you're not allowed to slander others like this. You said that Shishir is a third party and that she had a child out of wedlock. Do you have any evidence? Song Enya looked at her with disdain. What are you shouting for? Am I talking to you? An actress dares to put on airs in front of me. I don't know where she got the capital. Get lost. Jun Mo's handsome face was sullen. She took a step forward and was about to speak when Yun Shishir stopped her. She did not want Jun Mo to get involved in this mess for her. Hence, she raised her head and said to her, Jun Mo, thank you for defending me, but this is a private matter between me and her. It's better that you don't interfere. Jun Mo looked at her with heartache and said unhappily, I can't stand it. Shishir, what right does she have to slander you like this? There's no evidence. She's spreading rumors. She's too much. I'm spreading rumors? There's no evidence. Song Enya sneered and mocked. Yun Shishir, you're really good at acting. Look at how many people your innocent face has deceived. There are really people who think you're innocent and want to stand up for you. But what about the truth? Do you dare to say it? My words have no basis? I'm spreading rumors? I'm slandering you without any evidence? Hee. Not only are you good at acting, but you're also good at acting. Keep pretending. Do you also pretend to be a white lotus in front of Brother Mu to deceive him? Yun Shishir, on the other hand, remained calm. However, there was a look of pity in her eyes as she looked at Song Enya as if the latter was a pitiful worm. Song Enya was hurt by her stare and bellowed, What kind of look is that? Yun Shishir raised her eyebrows. I just feel that you're really pitiful. Song Enya was speechless for a moment, not understanding the meaning behind her words. What do you mean? Yun Shishir took a step forward and whispered in her ear slowly, Even if you're angry out of humiliation, you can't change the fact that Mu Yaja is my man. The one who has no right to fight with him is you, understand? Song Enya was stunned. She then raised her hand high to slap her. T6, you're shameless. Jun Mo immediately reached out and shielded Yun Shishir behind her. The slap that was aimed at her face did not land. Song Enya was enraged. She turned around to look, only to see Gu Xingzi standing behind her and gripping her wrist tightly. A pair of handsome eyes filled with chilliness, but incomparably indifferently fell on her body. Chapter 8:12. Gu Xianxia? What was the meaning of this? Why was he stopping her? Gu Xianxia, what are you doing? Are you done fooling around? Gu Xianxia pursed his lips impatiently, his handsome face cold. This is a film set. It's not a place for you to fool around. His grip on her wrist was so tight that it seemed as if he was going to break it. The part of her wrist that was tightly gripped by him suddenly lost its color and turned pale. No matter how hard she tried to break free, it was to no avail. She struggled for a while but still could not break free. She could not help but fly into a rage out of humiliation. Gu Xianxia, let go of me. Gu Xianxia immediately let go of her. Caught off guard, she fell to the ground in a sorry state. She was wearing 7-centimeter high heels today, so when she fell to the ground, she felt a sharp pain in her ankle. It seemed that she had sprained it. Feeling wronged and resentful, she raised her head to look at Gu Xianxia in displeasure. Gu Xianxia lowered his head and looked at her coldly. His expression was frosty, and his eyes were piercingly cold. She was so shocked by his glare that she could not speak for a moment. Lu Jingtian turned pale with fright when she saw this. She immediately went forward to help her up. Gu Xianxia, why are you helping her too? She was so angry that she even forgot to maintain her composure. Gu Xianxia expressionlessly said, Xianxia, I don't have the patience. Don't be unreasonable in front of me. It's very annoying. She was so frightened by his cold glare that she fell silent. Lu Jingtian, who was standing at the side, opened her mouth to say something, but Gu Xianxia swept a glance at her and coldly said, Shut up. She did not dare to speak again. Gu Xianxia, you're too much. Her eyes were red, and it was obvious that she was about to cry from anger. Have you had enough? I told you to shut up. Didn't you hear me? Gu Xianxia suddenly raised his voice. Who let this miscellaneous person in? Miscellaneous personnel. Xianxia was startled. Just as she was about to retort, Lu Jingtian sensibly tugged at her arm, gesturing for her to stop talking. The security personnel rushed over at once. Glancing at Xianxia and Gu Xianxia with trepidation, he whispered, It's me. From tomorrow onwards, you don't have to come anymore, Gu Xianxia said coldly. The man was shocked at first, but then he nodded helplessly. Gu Xianxia said again, Chase her out. In the future, no one is allowed to enter. Xianxia stared at him in disbelief, but before she could say anything, she was chased out of the set by the security personnel who had rushed over upon hearing the news. From beginning to end, Jun Mo shielded Xianxia behind her. Only after the latter was chased away from the set did she turn around with a worried look and ask, Xianxia, are you all right? Nothing. What can happen? Xianxia raised her eyebrows, but she didn't think much of it. Aren't you angry at her for saying that about you? Why should I stoop to her level when she's just a lunatic? Lu Jingtian glanced at her, snorted, and returned to her seat. Gu Xianxia suddenly walked over and grabbed Xiaxia's arm tightly. Startled, she looked up and saw a strange anger on Gu Xianxia's face. Xianxia, you! Gu Xianxia pulled her away. Xiaxia was confused. She did not understand what he was trying to do and only let go of her hand when he pulled her to a secluded corner. Xianxia, what's wrong with you? Chapter 8:13. Xiaxia was shocked by his sudden action. She looked up blankly and saw him looking down at her. His eyes were deep and his face was sullen. Xianxia, you. Just now she said that you were a third party and that you had a child out of wedlock. Gu Xianxia opened his thin lips slightly and said coldly, How do you feel after hearing such humiliation? Xiaxia was stunned by his question and did not speak for a long time. Why? You're not talking? Is this your choice? Gu Xianxia glared at her angrily. Xiaxia, is this your choice? Do you like to humiliate yourself so much? What do you mean? What can he give you? Glory and wealth? A glorious title or endless fame and fortune? And then, these slander, humiliation, abuse, and contempt. Are all these what you want? Xiaxia was stunned. Even though his face was cold and his tone was cold, she still caught a flash of pity in his eyes. He was feeling sorry for her? Xiaxia was a little speechless. Gu Xianxia continued, Glory and wealth, fame and fortune, I can give you what he gave you. But if I were your man, I would never let anyone slander you, humiliate you, or abuse you. Xianxia was tongue-tied. Gu Xingzi's tone suddenly became gentler. His handsome face moved closer to her and the anger in his eyes was replaced by tenderness and vulnerability. He looked at her with heartache and wanted to hug the woman in front of him tightly. But he couldn't. Gu Xingzi closed his eyes and said in a hoarse voice, "Sure, if you met me before him, would you choose me?" If she met him before Wuxia, would she choose him? Xianxia was stumped by this question. "Xingzi, I've always treated you as an outstanding senior," Gu Xingzi interrupted. "Can you not be a senior?" Xianxia was stunned. "Xianxia, in your eyes, am I really just a senior?" Gu Xingzi slowly opened his eyes. His voice and eyes regained their calmness. "Xianxia, I've always thought that I was a person who stood aloof from worldly affairs. But after meeting you for the first time, I wanted to fight for something." He had always thought that his heart would never be moved again. He even thought that he would be alone for the rest of his life. But when he met her, it was as if he had been bewitched. His heart was moved by her. Even when she glanced back, every frown and smile made his heart bleed. "You still haven't answered me. Will you choose me? Without Wuxia, would you choose to be with me?" He persistently pursued the matter, not wanting to give up just like that. As long as he heard the word yes from her mouth, he would fight for it by hook or by crook. Xianxia was silent for a long time before she slowly reached out and pushed him away. "I'm sorry, Xingzi." Her rejection seemed to leave no room for negotiation. Gu Xingzi looked at her expressionlessly. Suddenly, the corners of his lips curled up slightly. Something seemed to be extinguished in his eyes. When Xianxia came back to her senses and looked up, Gu Xingzi had already left. She took a deep breath and pulled herself together. Walking out of the corner, she saw Wuxia looking for her all over the set. "Sure, where did you go? I couldn't find you anywhere." Xianxia, on the other hand, seemed to be in a daze as she did not hear her words. Chapter 8:14. Sure, where did you go? I couldn't find you anywhere. Xianxia, however, seemed to have not heard her and was a little distracted. Sure. What's wrong with you? Why are you as lifeless as Xingzi? Wuxia asked helplessly. "Nothing. I was thinking about something just now." Pursing her lips, she took out a thermos flask from her handbag and passed it to her. "Here." Xianxia took the thermos flask from her and could not help feeling surprised. "What's this?" "It's ginger soup. I just made it for you." Wuxia then continued. "Don't you have a scene in the rain at 7 p.m.? I hope you can do it in one take. Quickly take a hot shower after you're done and drink the ginger soup. Otherwise, you'll catch a cold easily." Wuxia knew that today's scene was a scene in the rain, so she quickly cooked a bowl of ginger soup. Xianxia thanked her gratefully. "Thank you." "Yeah, it's nothing. I'm your assistant. I've arranged everything for you." Wuxia smiled. At 7 p.m., the sprinklers were in place, and the shooting location was set in the hotel's parking lot. After Lin Fengtian arranged the camera positions, the script clerk rushed over and asked the actors to be in place immediately. This scene was about Yin Dongyu's absence from his engagement with Lin Hina because of Yin Xiaochuan's fever. In the ward, he mistakenly thought that she was asleep and revealed his feelings for her, which had been hidden in his heart for many years. Yin Xiaochuan suddenly opened her eyes. In fact, she was awake. When she heard that Yin Dongyu also had such restrained feelings for her, she questioned why he was not with her. Yin Dongyu reacted abruptly and panicked. He left the ward and wanted to drive away. Yin Xiaochuan chased after him. In the rain, the two's emotional entanglement was pushed to the climax. In terms of makeup, Ding Ning specially put on nude makeup for her to highlight her sickly haggardness. When the makeup was done, Ding Ning took a look and could not help but be stunned. Her haggard makeup, pale face and lips, as well as her pair of ethereal eyes, actually revealed a sense of poignant beauty. So beautiful. The script clerk came to rush her again. Xianxia quickly got up. On set, the lights and cameras were in place. Xianxia just arrived and saw Gu Xingzi sitting in his seat with the makeup artist touching up his makeup. Gu Xingzi also saw her. His gaze fell on her pale and haggard face, and his heart clenched. However, when he realized that it was because of the makeup, he calmed down. Scene 28. Scene 1. Xianxia glanced at Gu Xingze in a daze for a moment before she rushed forward with her umbrella. She had only taken a few steps when Lin Fengtian cut her off. This scene is very important, so I'll have to trouble you to bring out your 200%. Please, Yin Xiaochuan chased after him anxiously. Where's the anxiety on your face? I'm sorry. I'll adjust my state right away. Xianxia immediately apologized. She had indeed been distracted for a moment, so much so that she lost her composure when she took the first step. Lin Fengtian said sternly, Xianxia, you're very talented and have a high level of understanding. I hope you won't disappoint me. Even though he admired her, filming was work. If there were any mistakes at work, he would not be merciful. He was very clear about both the inside and outside of filming. Chapter 8:15. Mushi watched from the side with trepidation, only hoping that this scene in the rain would end quickly. The Green Apple, Scene 28. Scene 2, Action. The filming was still not progressing smoothly. The main reason was that Gu Xingze was not in the right state. Xianxia, on the other hand, was lacking in her vision. Lin Fengtian, who was sitting in front of the monitor, felt that the two were not in the right state and seemed to be preoccupied with their own thoughts. Gu Xingze, in particular, had either a misty look or a deep look in his eyes. The intense emotional struggle in Yin Dongyu's eyes could not be expressed properly. Xianxia, on the other hand, had the vision and could recite her lines well, but her expression was awkward. It was an indescribable awkwardness. Lin Fengtian cut, and then announced, "We'll take a 15-minute break." Mushi immediately went forward with a blanket and covered Xianxia with it, helping her back to her seat. Gu Xingze sat beside her too, but he did not look at her, treating her as if she were air. There was no interaction throughout. Lin Fengtian was observant and vaguely sensed that there was something fishy between the two. Hence, he walked to Xianxia, sent Gu Xingze away, and sat in his seat. Xia, you're not in the right state today. What are you thinking about? I was distracted. Sorry. He waved his hand. I don't want to hear this. Have you been in a relationship before? I guess. I've been in a relationship before? Imagine him as the man you love deeply and then put yourself in the role. Imagine the man you love deeply, and he clearly loves you back, but he doesn't dare to love. He played up her emotions. For the next scene, you must show Yin Xiaochuan's anger and hysteria. Xianxia was very perceptive and easily understood what he wanted her to express. Director Lin, thank you. I understand. Try to pass in one scene. With that, he walked to Gu Xingze's side. His face sank in an instant. Xingze, for this scene, you just need to follow your inner struggle. Gu Xingze was stunned. Lin Fengtian tapped the table with his fingertips and snorted. Do you think I can't tell? You like Xianxia, don't you? Gu Xingze looked up. His face was pale and his eyes were hollow. Your current state of mind is very suitable for this scene. Yin Dongyu's inner drama. Think about it carefully and express all your inner thoughts later. That will do. Lin Fengtian's eyes were sharp. How could he not see Gu Xingze's feelings for Xianxia? He liked her. But this fondness could only be buried in the bottom of his heart. Gu Xingze frowned slightly. Lin Fengtian stood up and patted him on the shoulder. Think about it carefully. Try to pass it in one go. With that he left. Gu Xingze looked up and his eyes met with Xianxia's. She was sitting not far away from him. When she saw that he was looking at her, she immediately looked away. 15 minutes passed quickly. Xianxia and Gu Xingze returned to the scene. The staff held up a hose and sprayed it into the sky, creating an artificial rain curtain. The Green Apple, Scene 28, Scene 7, Action. Yin Dongyu. Xianxia screamed hysterically. From the start, she was in the right state of mind. This scream was so loud that her voice almost broke. Chapter 8:16. Gu Xingze stood in the rain with his back to her. Xianxia rushed into the rain. Seeing that he had stopped in his tracks, she slowly walked forward and tried to hold his hand. However, the moment her trembling fingertips were about to touch his hand, Gu Xingze retracted his hand as if he had been electrocuted. Xiaoxia's eyes revealed an extremely hurt look. Brother. A helpless and weak cry directly hit the weakest part of people's hearts. Xiaoxia said in a hoarse voice, Why are you always running away from me? Why? Why do you love me too? Why do you always want to run away from me when you love me so much? What are you running away from? Gu Xingzi's heart trembled slightly, but he quickly suppressed the turbulent emotions in his heart and pretended to be calm. I'm not running away. You are. You clearly are. Xianxia broke down and said, You've always been running away from me. Always. As she spoke, she reached out and hooked her hand around his. This time, he did not avoid her. Xianxia stared at his back again and said carefully, Didn't we agree in the past? We'll be together for life. Forever. Have you forgotten what you promised me? Her pale lips trembled uncontrollably as she pleaded in a broken voice. Brother, love me, okay? There was a long silence. Lin Fengtian immediately zoomed in and gave Xianxia a close-up shot. The fragile look in her eyes was full of tension. Lin Fengtian secretly cheered in his heart. The dead silence felt like a century. After a long time, Gu Xingzi sighed and muttered, How should I love you? He turned his head and the camera zoomed in on his face. Gu Xingzi frowned slightly. The hesitation and vulnerability in his eyes were almost obvious. Even Xianxia's heart could not help but tremble when she saw this gaze. Xiachuan, how should I love you? The scene finally passed. Lin Fengtian stood up and applauded in shock. Xianxia also left her character with a gratified smile on her face. Gu Xingzi, on the other hand, seemed to be too immersed in his role and looked lonely. Xianxia caught a glimpse of his expression from the corner of her eye, and her smile froze on her lips. Wrap up. Get ready, that's all for today. Gu Xingzi abruptly turned around and walked toward the building. Xianxia was still in a daze. Mushi quickly brought a blanket over and urged, Xia, hurry up and take a shower. Xia's mind and she nodded. Do you need me to accompany you? No, I'll go myself. Yes. Remember to drink the ginger soup after you shower. The production crew had booked a floor next to the hospital. The rooms inside were specially reserved for the production crew. At this moment, the sky was already dark. The receptionist at the front desk was dozing off. Xianxia held the room card tightly in her hand and carried the thermos flask as she walked into the hotel. At the elevator entrance, she bumped into Gu Xingzi. She was stunned and could not help but feel awkward. During the scene in the rain earlier, she was completely drenched. Gu Xingzi, on the other hand, had been holding an umbrella the whole time and only got a little wet. You have to remember to take a shower too. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll catch a cold. Ma'am, he responded lightly, but his gaze was fixed on the elevator door. The elevator kept jumping up and down. Ding dong. It was a text message notification. Chapter 8:17. The elevator door opened and Gu Xingzi walked in. Xianxia had also finished replying to the text message and followed him into the elevator. However, when she stepped into the elevator, she felt a violent tremor under her feet. The lights in the elevator suddenly flickered a few times, and the elevator suddenly lost control and fell. At this moment, Xianxia was already halfway into the elevator. Just as the elevator was about to lose control and fall and she was about to be caught, Gu Xingzi quickly grabbed her arm and pulled her into the elevator. Xianxia lost her balance and fell into his arms. Bang! Her phone fell to the ground. The two of them fell to the ground together because of the tremor in the elevator. Then, they felt a strange centrifugal force and the elevator continued to fall. Bang! It was as if it had fallen to the bottom. After a short moment of suffocation, there was a loud clang. The entire floor of the elevator seemed to have collided violently, and it was so loud that their ears were buzzing. Gu Xingzi subconsciously hugged Xianxia tightly in his arms. At that moment, he felt as if his bones were about to break from the impact of his back hitting the ground. Then, the entire elevator shook and the lights flickered. Everything returned to silence. At this moment, the elevator door slowly closed. Xianxia could not react in time. She did not realize what had happened at all. When everything quieted down, she looked around and saw that the elevator's floor display was black. In the elevator shaft, there was the sound of a rope being sawed. In the quiet and narrow space, these cold sounds only made one feel uneasy and anxious. The elevator malfunctioned? That was her first reaction. She turned to look at Gu Xingzi but saw that his face was pale and he seemed to have a lingering fear. Clearly, He was still in shock from the accident that had happened earlier. Just imagine, if he had not acted fast enough, he might have only been able to watch Xianxia get caught in the elevator. As for the consequences, he did not even dare to think about it. Xianxia also carefully recalled that when she stepped into the elevator just now, she felt that the elevator suddenly fell. Xianxia grabbed her and dragged her into the elevator. Thinking about it carefully, Xianxia felt a chill run up her spine. If